Welcome to the 87th episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies Podcast.
So goddamn paranormal.
My name is Jason Knight, host of the show, and with me this evening is my loyal producer extraordinaire, Mr. Oscar Spector.
Loyal. I thought of a dog when you said that.
Was that a dog? I pictured you as kind of a bigger, huskier dog.
No, well, I can't pull that off. I can go. I can't do the guttural.
You sound like an ankle bone.
No, I can't do it.
This evening, well, welcome, Oscar. This evening, I think we're going to make it pretty quick, the intro. We have some housekeeping to go over.
So you say.
Because we got
a quick intro in our lives.
Yeah, I have 30 pages of notes.
It's actually 15, guys. He double fonted it.
Because I'm, why?
Old as fuck.
Because I'm old as fuck and couldn't see.
You have cataracts and
so
shit.
We have 15 pages of notes to get to a really great topic this evening. Coming off the John Wayne Gacy topic. Remember, I'm spinning a web here with these people we're covering for the big reveal sometime in the future of the podcast.
Uh-huh.
So I want to get to it, but first, we did promise the listeners in the Gacy episode our thoughts on the True Detective season finale.
Right. We did mention it. We were super excited.
Very excited.
And I'm going to ask you first, what did you think?
It's love-hate.
Love-hate.
Love-hate relationship.
I can
with
see that for
season
sure.
Finale.
A lot of interneters are saying that. A lot of people I know are saying that. You know what I'm calling this? I'm calling this a whelmed finale.
Whelmed.
It's not overwhelming. It's not underwhelming. It's just whelmed.
It's whelmed.
I feel whelmed. That is not to say that it's bad. I did expect different.
I did too.
I expected more. I expected a more thrilling final episode.
Yes.
And other than this one scene in the movie, in the final episode.
Should we say spoilers?
Yes, of course.
Spoiler alert.
Right. True Detect. The one scene I didn't like at all, or much at all, is the info dump, where we get all the information on how the kid died, and from that one-eyed black guy.
Yeah.
Junius, I think his name was.
Yeah.
That the info dump was so bad. I didn't like that at all, because I felt like it was just trying to just tell you the answers right away, just so they can, I don't know, not do a mystery. Not do a mystery box the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
You know, I felt a little cheated.
I could totally, and it happened pretty early in the episode too.
Yes,
like the big reveal was pretty early.
Yeah, it was like 20, 15 minutes in or something like that. Yeah.
And I guess I didn't mind that too much.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me the answers I wanted, right? Like,
yes,
I have closure
it technically
now.
did.
So I guess I was okay with it.
And it all tracked too, based on all the other episodes, and even people's theories. Some of them even tracked with what he said, and it all worked out.
Yeah.
I just, it felt like it wasn't even a crime because everyone was dead, or like it wasn't enough. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think the part that bothered me the most was when the black cop. I can't.
Wayne, I want to say Hayes.
Hayes. Thank you. Oh my God. When Hayes finally goes to Julie Purcell's house, he's there.
Oh, at the pink room?
No.
Oh, at the
house.
End. Oh, at the house.
He's there.
Yeah.
All his answers and questions that could be answered are right in front of his face.
And he forgets?
And he just blanks. That was a huge letdown.
See, I really like that because the whole time he's been like old manning, being a detective as an old man, figuring this out. I was so worried that he would come across someone shady, let's say, or a bad situation, and he forgets at the wrong time. I was worried about that being a plot point.
Yeah.
Or becoming like a big hindrance.
Which never really happened.
No, but until that point it happened. And I knew it was going to happen right before it did too, because like, oh, of course, this is a way to get closure for the character, but he'll forget. That way she is probably never exposed, but that's not exactly a for sure thing.
No, it's not. Because
the son kept the
address.
But also the son doesn't know what the address means yet. So maybe he kept it so he can show his dad later.
Maybe.
Right? That could just be a thing like, oh, he forgets right now, or he'll remember later.
So for the audience, him forgetting at that moment, playing out like he forgot at that moment, to me was a big letdown. Do you think he actually really suffered dementia at that moment?
No, I think he did. And I think he did remember again. but he let it go.
He did. He remembered.
There's a scene, dude. Mahershala Ali is good with the facial expressions.
Yeah, he was drinking the glass of water.
Yeah, and then he remembered.
And he gave her the look, the side eye.
Yeah.
He knew.
And I think she was like trying to say, in a way, like, I think he was at that point when he remembered again, he was looking out for a cue from her to Lucy. No, that's not her name, Lucy. Julie. To see.
The daughter's name was Lucy.
Yes.
The little girl's name was
Lucy.
Lucy.
Based on the mother.
Just adorable little girl, by the way.
Adorable, most adorable. And I think Julie was giving her the. I mean, I think she's expected something. I don't think she knew anything, but like I think she wouldn't have. She gave an impression to me that not to invite any questions or scrutiny.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So I think he took that and said, "Okay, I will just won't say."
Or maybe because the daughter was there.
Also, that too. I mean, I don't know how that will do.
And what about the husband, Julie's husband today? Right, who was the little boy that we saw in episode 1?
Yeah, I know,
crying and waving at her, and so that was kind of cool. But now he's a landscaper.
Oh, I know.
And the killer in number 1 was a fucking landscaper.
That's totally like a reversal of what happened.
Yeah, what did you think of that?
Oh, no, I think that's just the writer playing a trick on us, like trying to get us to, zig instead of zagging or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's all it is. It's just like a nice little flourish of the writer. He can't help himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because once I saw it, because the scene when they were leaving the cemetery?
The nunnery?
Yeah,
or whatever?
The nunnery?
Nunnery? Is that
still
a thing?
Yeah.
Cannery? Nunnery?
Cannery.
I don't know.
I don't know what a cannery is.
They're
but
putting nuns in cans. I don't know what they're doing in a nunnery.
I was thinking canary.
It's a cute nun. Did you notice the nun had a big fucking scar on her face or something next to her eye?
Yeah, I think
what was that all about?
I think that's just for us to question the mystery of nothing. There's no mystery. There's no mystery. Even hiring Michael Rooker, it was all
for 5 minutes.
It's all a big red. It's a great 5 minutes, but it's a big red herring. It's just all it is.
It really was.
The idea of this being anywhere near the conspiracy or the violent or the pre-planning murdering thing of season 1 is not here at all.
No.
And that is what that's what the season is about. It's telling us that it's third place to character work, or second place to character work and like themes about marriage and friends, and even hell, it was a more attention given to Julie's father as being a closeted gay man in the 80s than it was about this fucking mystery.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think the show was about something else the whole time, and we just really wanted it to be something.
Well, I mean, they definitely steered us down that direction.
They definitely did.
And it's because of the reporter, I think.
The reporter. Because the reporter was us, essentially.
Yeah.
The reporter was the audience.
The reporter also had these little morsels.
Definitely.
The Franklin cover-up.
Right.
I'm not telling
season
you everything.
1 mentioning...
Rusty Cole, right? And
Rusty
and... fuck.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, it was Matthew and Woody.
And Marty, I think.
Alluding to all that, and it went absolutely nowhere. And then the reporter, who always said she's got more, she's not giving it yet, just disappeared. Never heard from her again.
Well, another theory I was thinking, my initial thing was that when the son kept the address,
yes,
he might give it to her.
It's possible.
Like to finish up.
Why leave that up to the audience to decide? I mean, she was so present throughout the entire season, and then to just drop it.
Actually, she was present for like half the season, not even the entire. But yeah, I understand.
So that was kind of disappointing. Overall, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I was whelmed.
What do you think? You were whelmed, yeah. What do you think of the Vietnam scene
at the end? Oh, I really like that. I like thinking about that one because that could mean a lot of things. It could be his recession. That's where his mind's going at that time. Or is that his going into the good long goodbye? Like his own version of it?
Yeah, because he went into those bushes. He never came out.
Well, the scene ends there, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying that could be his last memory before he goes, kind of thing. That could be that interpretation.
See, I took a different approach.
See? What is yours?
It never happened.
What never happened?
This whole thing was jungle boredom. And he was still out there in Vietnam.
Oh, that's such a... Oh, my God. That's bad. Why would you think that?
I'm sorry.
No, that's not bad for you to think that. I'm sorry. That would be a bad thing if it was true, I'm saying. Because
that's kind of the impression I got.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to tell you that.
I know. You fucking suck, you loser.
I'm sorry. Your
opinions don't matter.
I mean...
Go clean the dishes.
Wow. Fuck, make me a sandwich. No. I just thinking that, like... It's like when... Do you remember this movie called Identity? Just that.
John Cusack?
Yes, John Cusack.
Okay.
And also Gary, what's the name? Fuck.
This is the one where he played like 10 characters, right?
No, it's the movie.
Are you sure?
It's the movie. No, he didn't play 10 characters.
He had multiple personality disorder.
Well, that's the end of the movie.
So we're talking about the same movie.
Yeah, we're talking about this, but fuck me, man. It's not John Cusack who's having it. John Cusack's one of the personalities. Anyway, it's all these people in this motel at night, and they're all end up killing each other, and weird shit's happening.
But they didn't.
And the whole time at the end of the thing is all one gimmick. It all means nothing because it's all under this one guy's head.
Yes.
And it has this stupid forced ending that's supposed to be like a puzzly M. Night Shyamalan kind of ending.
Yes.
And it ends with him, like, the worst of the personalities taking over and him becoming a killer.
Yes.
So dumb. That is like that. It's like if this show ended and say like none of this happened, it was all in his fucking Alzheimer's driven or in his Vietnam
Jungle boredom.
Right. That's awful.
It's funny. It's really funny you just made that identity reference because one of the personalities in that movie or a main character in that movie, I have to go back and look at the IMDb, also played the person we're going to be talking tonight in a movie roughly about the person we're going to be talking about tonight.
You could say, it's in the title.
No,
wait, no, it's not in the title.
You almost did it.
I almost did it.
Spoiler alert. All right, so True Detective, True D, Season 3. Overall, yay?
Yeah, overall, yay. But,
overall, yay.
Better than 2, I would still say.
I got to admit, the whole marriage thing got really drawn out, really boring.
No, the
while.
fights got tedious, but I like the deal they struck. I like how they focused on that shit a lot. And like the deal they struck when in the 90s. To like leave her book, leave the investigation. I'll leave the force. I'll leave my
right.
Like that was
and she went and taught
focus
college
on the marriage and focus on and all that stuff we thought about the daughter and possibly dying.
Boy, we were wrong.
It was wrong.
We were wrong.
It was just estranged a little bit because she went to California. The mother probably died of natural whatever, and there you go. They were just a happy
did
family.
Say how she died, did they?
No,
I don't remember.
No, I don't think they did. But
cancer.
The point is that she died peacefully. That's all. Like happy, not like mysteriously or shady.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I mean.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a defining season for True Detectives to come? Because they've all been pretty different.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Because, they're all been a little different. At least they focus on different things more.
Yeah.
Because they're all about the same. They're all focused on characters, but they focus on different things secondary. I don't know. There's a lot of weird lash on this guy, Nick Pizzolatto. So, maybe he'll come back as a reaction to season 3 and redouble on season 1 stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool. Anything else before we move on with housekeeping?
I don't know. The floor's a little dirty.
With True D.
Oh, I don't know. The rest is what we said earlier. Great fucking acting. I love that bar fight scene he had.
Oh, man.
That was so cool.
Steven Dorff, he could fight.
I was hearing that, not hearing, in a different podcast, they were mentioning, and I guess they had read it in other places, where Steven Dorff, like the slightly old, today's Steven Dorff, he kind of looks like he looks like a very convincing, or at least passable, Logan, like new Wolverine. Like a lot of people were saying, like he can pull off Wolverine if he will. I'm like, yeah,
this is the resurrection of Dorff.
That'd be cool.
The return of Dorff.
I was going to say also, like this might give him that resurrection. I wonder what he's going to do next.
That's awesome. I hope they do. Because I'll tell you, towards the end, the two cops' relationship, I was getting choked up.
Dude, me too.
It was great.
Oh, I loved every time. So at the very, very end, when they were like all sitting on the front porch, and then Steven Dorff,
kids.
No, and yeah, but before that, when Steven Dorff drove up, I had a smile on my face. I'm like, oh, he's here.
Yeah,
like it was such a good way to. Yeah, that show did a good job of.
Love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Love it.
Yeah,
good. So there we go, listeners. We told you to give you our review of the final. That's our thoughts.
Yep.
Oscar, I have some housekeeping to go through.
I thought we just did it.
Nope.
Okay. Well, the floor is dirty.
It's the contact stuff. Okay. Like usual.
Right.
I'm sure they skipped this part anyway.
You're not going to ask me, are you?
No.
Okay,
we'll get through it quick. Get a hold of us on Instagram. I don't have it in my notes this time. I've done it 87 times.
Great segue. Great.
Get a hold of us, watch us, follow us is what I was looking for on Twitter and Instagram. I just posted a new picture this evening of an awesome autographed image of PJ Souls, one of the murder victims in the original Halloween. Her autograph addressed to me, Michael Myers, choking her with a telephone cord. I just put that up on Instagram at Chicago Ghosts on Instagram and Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. That's Supernatural Occurrence Studies on YouTube. While you're there, give us a like and a subscribe and make sure and ring the bell so you're updated every time we upload new content.
Subscribe on Vimeo over at...
We don't have Vimeo.
I was kidding.
Oh. Facebook. At Chicago Ghost Podcast on Facebook. We got a fantastic Facebook review. I want to read this. I always promise listeners, if you leave us reviews on Facebook or iTunes, we will read them on the show and give you a shout-out.
Same goes with voicemails.
Same with voicemails. I'm getting to that. So this review on Facebook is from Carrie Smith Montgomery. She writes, these guys are great, so funny and so knowledgeable on every subject they discuss. I got my daughter and my fiance hooked on them as well. Great job, guys, end quote. Carrie, we love you. Thank you so much for listening and for the review. We hope to keep you entertained and keep you as a listener. And please continue to spread the love.
I wonder, Carrie, do you like the movie Carrie?
Ooh, good question. I love the movie Carrie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. What else did I forget? The phone number, 872-529-0767.
That's a St. Louis.
That's a Chicago area code, 872-529-0767. Call us, text us. We'll read your messages and play your voicemails on the show. It's always fun to hear yourself across the globe. I'm forgetting something.
I'm forgetting something, too.
Website.
Not that, but
ChicagoGhostPodcast.com. Lots of great stuff there, including photos, videos, blog, all sorts of fun stuff.
We have a blog there?
Sponsors. We have a blog there, yeah. Not updated too regularly, but it is there.
Yeah.
And, of course, you can email us anytime at contact@ChicagoGhostPodcast.com.
Except Sundays.
Yeah, Sundays, fuck that.
I did forget something.
What did you forget?
You asked me what I'd seen. I did see something pertaining to our show.
Is it? Can we
bet it in now? What?
Are you going to give away the title and the topic yet?
Yeah. What do you,
not yet.
Wait, no. Oh, no, not that. No. I'm saying I saw something in relation to the show, not this episode, and the show in general.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
I was pretty vague. I'm sorry. Two things. One, I've been watching stuff. I've been rewatching the show called Fringe, which I'm sure I talked to you.
Oh man, that's old.
Yeah, I think it ended in 2012, and it's 5 seasons, so I started late.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
it's a show. It's a network show. Not a super great show, but I love the show to death because it talks a lot about stuff that we talk about here.
Love it.
And I've been rewatching the show. On season 3, episode something, they go into number stations.
Are you serious?
And I realized that a lot of the stuff because every case is different. And they resolve cases based on weird events that can't be explained, and usually science-based, but like magical almost science. Like science that's all far from our reach, but close enough. And I realized that show is very prescient and all that stuff. And they mentioned the number station thing, and I had an episode about these numbers giving people amnesia when they hear it and stuff like that. And they were like, what's the difference between these numbers and other numbers, and they don't know the origins of the numbers? They go into it. I'm like, oh, yeah, we did an episode on that.
We covered that shit?
Yeah.
See, we cover a broad variety of weird topics.
That's a small one. Another is that there's this new documentary called CERN, about CERN. I saw it.
Oh, we covered that shit too?
Yes. CERN.
Holy CERN.
CERN.
Yeah.
Check it out if you want. It's dry, though, because they're all scientists and they don't know how to public speak.
Yeah, they can't entertain for shit.
I love their English, though. I love how it opens with, because they have different interviews. The documentary is very point blank. Like, they show a lot of indoor stuff. They show people working in it, and the massive stuff in there. It looks so complicated.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to see how it looks in there, definitely check it out.
I'm going to check that. Definitely.
The Super Collider, you see all that shit there. It's really cool.
Wow. They say it's the most complex piece of machinery humanity ever created.
Definitely. It is kind of like an educational base. Like, everything is factual. Everything they're telling you is like, for example, like, oh, I'm this person. I'm in charge of this thing, which means this. Like, they talk to a theoretical physicist. They talk to the campus head guy who talks about how they live in the housing in that place and their families, and how very few of them have stable families because they're working 14 hours a day, things like that. So
cool.
It's a really cool view of CERN if you can get past the dryness of it. There's nothing cool about it. Everything just show you, just show it to you.
Yeah.
There's nothing flashy at all, which is good in a way, but it isn't for a lot of people.
No, check it out.
And it opens with this lady saying, I thought it was interesting, like, so because they have like many countries represented there.
Oh, yes.
Like, I don't remember. She mentioned the number. I forget. Like 50, 100, whatever. And they said that the universal language you use here is broken English.
It's scientific terms.
And everyone's speaking English in the movie, but they're all broken. It's like French American or French English, and then the English, and then there's Indian English, and it's really cool.
Wow.
So yeah, check it out if you want.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Two more things I did want to mention. Please, listeners, leave us ratings on iTunes. iTunes help listeners just like you find this show, and Oscar and I want to grow this thing to be huge.
Dude, we're watering it. We need the sunlight.
Yes, and so you could leave us a review right on the phone. You're probably listening to this right now, my sweet, sexy voice, right now on your phone.
It's either sweet or sexy. Pick one.
Can't be both?
Well, if you had to pick one.
Sweet.
I go with that too.
Yeah, definitely sweet.
Yeah, too much. Sexy is a bazooka I don't need all the time. It's overkill.
Too much artillery.
Yes.
Then you're beating
We
people
don't need
off with a
it.
stick.
I rather have a
'cause they want-
silencer or a knife, which is sweet.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
I'm not a penis pinata here.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I
Never
just want
heard
a sweet voice.
First time I heard that one.
So definitely leave us a rating on iTunes. It helps greatly. And were the SOS-Radio podcast.
Oh.
We haven't covered this in a while.
No, we have not.
We picked up a lot of new listeners lately, so if they're going back through our archive and we're talking about SOS-Radio, SOS-Radio is the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast. The Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is the SOS-Radio podcast. We just went through a rebranding about a year ago.
Why are you talking like Tarantino character?
I don't know. I'm hopped up on fucking caffeine
Okay,
now.
because they overtalk. You don't have to say all that.
Okay.
You said Supernatural like 50 times there. So, I'm like, don't kill yourself.
And I think we talked about this before, Oscar. How hard would it have been for you to go back through every archived episode and edit out SOS-Radio and replace it with Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast?
I wouldn't. You don't pay me enough.
Impossible, right? So we're the same, same wackiness, same great topic, same in-depth research.
Right, just ignore the
Exactly.
.com that doesn't exist.
Yes, yeah. So ChicagoGhostPodcast.com is the new website. And, of course, I just explained the name
there's
change.
something to be said. Maybe there's a way we can add in like a bumper at the beginning, right before the episode starts, just saying like, hey, not even 30 seconds of audio saying, like, hey, in this episode we called it SOS-Radio. It's not that any longer. We've changed since then. It is this website, whatever it is. I already forgot. And then start the show. That's it.
You already forgot the website. It's a good idea. I saw you slip that right in there, Tarantino. But, all right, let's go to break.
Oh, right.
Come back and really kick this shit into gear.
Wow.
This episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com is offering our listeners a huge 30% discount on any new GoDaddy service. Go ahead and buy that domain you've always wanted. Build your dream website, sell your product, and communicate with your fans. Anything you need to get your business and ideas online and productive. To take advantage of the 30% discount, you must visit www.trygodaddy.com/SOS-radio. What are you waiting for? That's trygodaddy.com/SOS-radio. Start building your online presence today. Welcome back to the show. Listeners, please check out our sponsor or sponsors and help support the show. If you love what we do and you want to hear more, or maybe send us on another crazy podcast trip, please support our sponsors.
Yeah, we'll put strippers in there.
Strippers and blow.
Oh, you mean cocaine?
Cocaina.
Cocaine.
All right, you ready to get into this? I'm excited.
Yes,
I'm
I am.
excited.
I am excited too because I've always known about this subject. Never that much though, so I always wanted to know more.
Excellent. Did I say excellent?
Don't worry. I mean, now that you brought it up,
Could we edit that out?
No, I mean, what? It's like when you make a small mistake and like most people won't notice, but if you bring it up,
I do. I call myself out.
Then people will definitely notice.
Yeah. All right. Well, the lights are turned down low. The ceremonial candle is lit, and the drinks are flowing.
Frappuccino.
Let's get into this show. So tonight we're going to talk about another heavy hitter in the serial killer world. We're covering very specific killers for a very specific reason, but that reason that'll be revealed in a much later episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast. Trust me, listeners, I'm spinning a web here, and you're going to want to hear this thing through to the end. The killer we're covering tonight did not murder as many as John Wayne Gacy, which we covered on the last podcast episode, episode 86, nor did he kill as many as the upcoming heavy hitters we will be covering. But his crimes, the person we're covering tonight, are just as notorious and are integral, I think, to the ultimate reveal I'm planning.
In New York, the search continues for the .44 caliber killer who has come to be known as the Son of Sam, the object of one of the biggest manhunts in this city's history. In the past year, the killer, believed to be a young man, has killed 5 people and wounded 4. His victims, mostly young women with shoulder-length dark hair, usually shot at very close range while sitting in parked cars at night. They've been shot with a .44 caliber bulldog revolver, an especially deadly weapon.
Tonight, we're talking about Mr. Monster, the .44 caliber killer, the Son of Sam, David Richard Berkowitz.
I've been locked up since the time of my arrest of just under 40 years.
You just turned 64.
Yeah, I just turned 64, yeah.
What would you tell 23-year-old David Berkowitz today?
Turn around before it's too late because destruction is coming, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, that was not me. That was not me. Even that name, I hate that name. I despise that name.
Which name?
That moniker, Son of Sam. That was a demon.
Now, in case you don't know, David Berkowitz killed 6 people and wounded 7 others during a year-long shooting spree in New York, specifically Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, in 1976 and 1977. David Berkowitz was born June 1st, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York, but not as David Berkowitz. His birth name was Richard David Falco. You see, Berkowitz's mother was a woman named Elizabeth Broder, who married an Italian-American man named Tony Falco in 1936.
It's a great porn name or star movie name.
It is a cool name, yeah. I just picture Tony Falco being a headbuster cop in the early New York 1950s.
Yeah, you think his friends call him Falk? No, that's terrible.
Tony Falco? Yeah, no, I'm just going to I'm just going to continue here.
Yeah.
Now, the couple was married for less than 4 years when Tony Falco left his wife for another woman. 10 years later, Elizabeth Falco shacked up with a married man named Joseph Kleinman, and 3 years later, she became pregnant with Kleinman's child, his son. When her son was born, Elizabeth Falco gave her baby her surname, Falco, not Kleinman. Hence the name Richard David Falco. Now remember,
interesting.
Yeah, Kleinman, he was a married man. And it's thought that Kleinman threatened to leave his mistress, David's mother, should she decide to keep the child, and God forbid, give the baby his last name. So within a few days of Richard Falco's birth, Elizabeth Falco gave her newborn son away. Now, little Richard Falco was adopted by Pearl and Nathan Berkowitz of the Bronx. The Berkowitzes reversed the order of the infant's first and middle name and gave them their last name, hence David Richard Berkowitz.
Oh my God, it's such a complicated lineage.
Yes.
Year 1 already, I don't know what this kid is.
Yes. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because he had a pretty intense childhood. Berkowitz did. Mm-hmm. So as a young child, Berkowitz claims he suffered from these violent seizures where he would be thrown to the ground and violently roll all over the floor. And sometimes during these seizures, furniture would get knocked over, seemingly on its own. Berkowitz said that during these seizures, it felt like something was entering him, almost taking control of him. I think of Regan McNeil in The Exorcist.
Yeah, like a paranormal,
when she's
not activity, but what's that other paranormal entity?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. They show a really good way of like a demon possessing someone, like entering, like the idea of hijacking a mind kind of thing. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
That's almost what Berkowitz is alluding to here. And when Regan McNeil is being possessed, she's violently flipping around the bed, The mother comes in, and all of a sudden the armoire comes sliding across and falls over, and that's
Which
what
is
I
all the
picture.
proof I needed from that movie.
Yeah, and I'm done.
I'm done. Going home.
But that's kind of what he's alluding to here. Now, also as a child, Berkowitz would lock himself in his closet from morning until way late in the afternoon, enjoying being alone in the dark, and he said craving the dark, while at the same time enjoying the retreat from people. In 1960, 6-year-old David Berkowitz ran into the road outside his childhood home and was struck by a car and suffered unspecific head injuries.
Of course.
A few months later, he ran into a wall and again suffered head injuries.
The fuck?
At age 8, he was hit on the head with a pipe and received a 4-inch gash.
Do you know by who?
So, no, I don't. I couldn't find out who.
I mean, are the parents like suspect?
No, not at all. Not at all. The Berkowitzes, great people. No violence, no sexual abuse, but there is head injury.
Multiple, yeah.
Yeah, multiple serious head injuries here. So check that off the serial killer making list. Making of a serial killer list.
Does someone have his brain in a basement somewhere too?
Like Gacy's?
Yeah.
No, he's still alive.
Oh, wow.
But that's for later in the show.
Okay.
Now, at age 12, Berkowitz began setting hundreds of fires around his neighborhood. And this fire-setting urge is something that would follow him well into adulthood, setting a staggering 1,500-plus fires.
What?
Up until he was caught for the Son of Sam murders.
Wait, he managed to do all that in his lifetime?
Yes.
I don't think I could get away with one.
That statistic is found in nearly every source about David Berkowitz. This really happened. He was setting that many fires. He tried to set fire to his own building, the last building he lived in before he was arrested. He tried to set fire to his own fucking building.
You think he'd be good at it by now?
Yeah, he almost, it said he had this kind of, he wanted this hero complex where he would set a fire and then run in and save a family or save a child.
Okay, I can definitely see that. It's
and
like,
be the hero.
It's kind of like a Munchausen thing, but like different.
Yeah, kind of. Very strange. Very strange. So there too, setting fires, check that off the making a serial killer list. Here's another one. At age 13, Berkowitz began killing animals and destroying property.
Yeah, that's a checklist. Fuck.
That's another one.
It's a big
making
one.
a murderer, making a serial killer checklist. Exactly. I put this in here just for you because you like to go down that list and check,
I know.
check. Now, as he grew, Berkowitz became despondent, severely depressed about not really having a social life to speak of and not being able to get a girlfriend. Berkowitz viewed sex as a path to happiness. And since he wasn't getting any sex, he wasn't doing any fucking, he believed women were denying him happiness.
I mean, every teenager, bro.
Right. Well, exactly. Normal teenagers get beyond this.
Yes.
And develop perfectly fine. Not this guy, though. As we'll see here a little bit later, his specific targets. Now, in 1971, at the age of 18, the day after he graduated high school, Berkowitz joined the Army as infantry. And he really wanted to go to Vietnam to fight. He wanted to be this heroic fighter in Vietnam. But instead, he was sent to South Korea, where instead of fighting, he did a shit ton of drugs. He did acid nearly every single day. He smoked a ton of weed, and he snorted a ton of cocaine.
Was he just chilling there, or was it like...
There was really nothing going on. No action.
You know, they probably do that. I mean, a lot of recruiters, when they notice people come in, or not even recruiters, if they're drafted, whatever the reason, when they meet new people, fresh fish, if they want to kill that, like if they have that, you know,
feeling about the person, kind of.
Right. They'll just take them off. They probably don't put them in active duty. I mean, they probably don't put them in a battlefield for that reason.
Well,
you know, I mean, I won't be surprised.
They
if that's
pegged this
case.
guy right. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I won't be surprised. Like, I don't want to give this guy an excuse to go kill people.
Right.
Right.
Now, while he was doing acid every day, which is fucked up, you don't do acid every day. And he's smoking tons of weed, and he's snorting like a vacuum cleaner, a bunch of cocaine. While he was tripping balls and stoned out of his mind almost every day, Berkowitz also found Jesus, and in turn started condemning the war.
South Korean Jesus.
And the war pigs. He refused to carry a gun, and he really preached about love and Jesus. He's probably really fucking annoying at this time, actually.
Yeah, but a passive Berkowitz is a happy Berkowitz.
Yes, yeah. Berkowitz ultimately fulfilled his 3-year agreement with the U.S. Army and was discharged honorably. And he settled back in New York. Now, when
Brooklyn? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, when he returned home, right from the war, Berkowitz found that all his friends had moved on. They started families and stuff, and those who didn't, Berkowitz drove away with all of his drugged-out hippie Jesus bullshit. So Berkowitz was alone.
Yeah.
And when he was alone, his depression came back.
Okay.
He took a job as a security guard, then as a cab driver, then as a duct worker for an air conditioning company. All jobs that were lonely and isolating. And all the while, his depression and psychosis was building.
What year was this, or what time? After the war, right? So 70s?
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah, because what year did Taxi Driver come out? Because this feels like Taxi Driver material.
Exactly.
Right.
And some articles actually refer to...
Paul Schrader probably took a page out of Son of Sam.
Yeah, not an article. It was another podcast I listened to about the Son of Sam. They said David Berkowitz had every job that De Niro ever had in a movie. David Berkowitz picked up this lonely, isolating, alone with your thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
jobs.
Robert De Niro movie. He worked in duct stuff.
Did he really?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Making fun of it.
But again, it's just this alone. And as he's alone, depression, psychosis,
Definitely.
paranoia. So this Jesus thing took a dark, ominous turn during this time. He finally took a job as a mail sorter for the U.S. Post Office. And in this job, he was just a cog in a wheel, a small part of a big machine. Again, this kind of lonely existence.
Yeah.
And during this time, when he's alone and isolated and having these crazy thoughts, at a party, he went to a party one night, and there, Berkowitz claims he met some guys who were heavily involved in the occult. Now, still feeling the tendrils of whatever had been haunting him since childhood, this depression and psychosis, and considering his newfound cult friends, he was looking to belong, Berkowitz started reading the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey.
You're kidding?
No.
So the occult with a capital O.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's super interesting. You know, a lot of his life, up until this very point, is very, very terrorist material. This is how, Ted Kaczynski gets made and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a really good, I'm glad, it's a really good, I think, because Berkowitz, ultimately, he's the one that put the lone nut on the map. He is the prime example of the lone
You
nut,
would say that?
the lone
Okay.
killer.
That makes sense.
And then the other one I would say would be Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, but he's on a different fork.
Yeah, because a lot of these other crazy fucks, they're married, they have kids. Gacy was married, had kids,
Yeah, definitely.
he was a fucking great guy, according to...
Gregarious.
Well, he wasn't this lone nut like
Right.
Berkowitz, and we're going to see how this spirals down.
Right.
And so I would say the other one is what you brought up, Ted Kaczynski. That
the
lone
same-
nut that is just fucking...
A reflection of the same dark mirror kind of thing or something, or whatever, a reversal of it, because one is more focused on their ideals, like Kaczynski. That's because he didn't go to the cult, and maybe this is where the fork is different, right? The
Possibly.
branches off differently.
Yeah.
But they have the same background almost.
Yeah, probably the only difference between the two would be who they associated with.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That's probably it.
Yeah,
The influence.
Yeah.
Now, as Berkowitz is hanging out with these new occult guys and he's reading the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey, he claims that during this time, everywhere he looked, everywhere he went, there were signs and symbols pointing to Satan. Berkowitz started practicing occult rituals and incantations, and today he truly believes that because of this, something took hold of him back then. Something dark and evil and thirsty for death and destruction.
And seizure-driven.
Yeah, whatever was happening when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So, and this is where we'll start to follow David Berkowitz's insane downward spiral from someone just depressed and lost, like probably half the country is,
Yeah, I know.
to the infamous murderer, the Son of Sam.
Yeah.
So, Berkowitz claims that his first attempt at murder took place on Christmas Eve, 1975. On this night, he claims to have stabbed two women from behind with a butcher knife, more specifically a hunting knife. One of the alleged victims was never identified by police. She got stabbed and she fucking took off. She didn't say anything, she just ran.
Good.
And the other was a teenager named Michelle Foreman. Foreman was hospitalized for injuries, and she survived. That's the first murder, attempted murder, Berkowitz claims was his.
Okay. Because they never knew back then, right? It was just from behind. So they
Right.
couldn't identify him at all. It was just him saying.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, no witnesses, no
Yeah, but if he
description.
describes it, I guess that's good enough, right?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Now, the first shooting attributed to the son of Sam happened around 1:10 a.m. on July 29th, 1976, in the Pelham Bay area of the Bronx, New York. Now, to give you an idea of this part of the Bronx at the time, disco was a big to-do. Disco clubs were everywhere, and John Travolta, as the Brooklyn Dance King, Tony Moreno, in the hit movie Saturday Night Fever, was all the rage. No one was afraid to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's just what the son of Sam's first two victims were doing that morning, coming home from a disco club. 18-year-old Donna Loria and her friend, 19-year-old Jody Valenti, were sitting in front of Loria's apartment inside Valenti's blue Oldsmobile, innocently chatting away, probably discussing their evening at the disco or maybe what possibilities the summer would bring, when the unthinkable happened. When Loria said goodnight and opened the car door to leave, she noticed a hulking man in a striped shirt quickly approach the vehicle. Loria turned to ask her friend, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And that's when the man pulled a gun from a paper bag, got down on one knee, braced his arm on his knee, and then gripped the gun with both hands, took aim and fired 4 shots at near point-blank range. Loria was struck in the back by a single bullet and died instantly. Valenti, still sitting in the car, took a bullet to the thigh and survived. Later, Valenti told police that the shooter was a white male in his 30s with a fair complexion and about 5'9" tall and weighed about 160 pounds with short, dark, curly hair.
Is that accurate?
We'll see. That turns into something, too, these descriptions. It was also noted by Loria's father and neighbors that an unfamiliar yellow compact car had been seen cruising the area just hours before the shooting.
Hours, not minutes?
Hours.
Okay.
And with this, the summer of Sam had officially begun.
What day of the summer is it? What? Sorry. Well, you said the day before. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Let me go back up in my notes here. This was, God, I have a lot of notes. July 29th, 1976.
July 29th. Okay. So, not a little late on that.
Yeah. Now, all was quiet until October 23rd, 1976, when a similar shooting occurred in a secluded residential area of Flushing, Queens. What a horrible name, Flushing, Queens.
Yeah, it's where the nanny, Fran Drescher, is from.
Is she really?
I mean, and the character.
Oh, wow. Well, and this night in Flushing, Queens, 18-year-old Rosemary Keenan and 20-year-old Carl Denaro, D-E-N-A-R-O, were sitting in Keenan's parked car when the window suddenly exploded. In a panic and not realizing what just happened, Keenan started the car and sped off. Now, Keenan suffered only superficial wounds from the exploding window glass, but Denaro was shot in the back of the head and survived.
Oh, wow.
But had to get a metal plate inserted into his skull to replace the chunk that had been blown out by the bullet.
Damn.
There were no witnesses to the Keenan-Denaro attack, but police did find .44 caliber bullets lodged into Keenan's car. Now, just a little bit on the .44 caliber bullet. The .44 caliber bullet, despite its menacing name, it's actually a rather low-powered round used in small handguns, and they work best at point-blank range.
Yeah,
They don't have much power after a few feet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like I think in the old West movies they call them like a lady's gun or something like that.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. And we'll get into the gun that these bullets were fired from later. So with the .44 caliber, in order to kill someone, you got to be up close and personal with the victim.
Yeah,
These bullets, they're designed to, they're killers. They're killer bullets. You got to be up close, and you are shooting to kill. Now, because the first shooting, the one with Donna Loria and Jody Valenti, happened in the Bronx, and the second shooting, the one with Rosemary Keenan and Carl Denaro, happened in Queens, police didn't yet notice that patterns were emerging. 3 of the victims, Donna Loria, Rosemary Keenan, and Carl Denaro, all had long brown hair. Both sets of victims were ambushed while sitting innocently in parked cars, and all had been shot with .44 caliber bullets. But the police didn't know this yet. There was no information sharing back in in this year.
Yeah.
Now, the following month, November 27th, 1976, shortly after midnight, while walking home from a movie theater in Bella Rose, Queens, 16-year-old Donna DeMasi and 18-year-old Joanne Lomino were stopped by a strange man dressed in military fatigues, asking for directions. Before the girls could respond to the man's questions, he pulled out a revolver and opened fire at near point-blank range, striking each victim once, DeMasi in the neck and Lomino in the back. A neighbor heard the gunshots and rushed outside just in time to see a man in his 20s in military gear, fatigues, with blonde hair and a gun in his hand running from the crime scene. DeMasi's wound was not life-threatening, and Lomino survived, but Lomino was ultimately rendered a paraplegic from the bullet she took to the back.
Yeah.
And interesting to note, DeMasi and Lomino both had beautiful, long, brown hair. 2 months later, on January 30th, 1977, around 12:40 a.m., 26-year-old Christine Frund and her fiancé, John Deal, 30 years old, were making out in Deal's parked Pontiac Firebird in Forest Hill, Queens, after just having watched Rocky at the movie theater. God, I would love to see Rocky in the theater.
There are revitals. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so they just got done watching Rocky. They're in this guy's Firebird. They're making out. They're getting hot and heavy when out of nowhere, 3 bullets ripped through the car. Deal was at the wheel, and in a panic, he sped away, only suffering superficial wounds, likely from exploding glass.
Yeah.
His wife-to-be wasn't that lucky. Christine Frund took 2 bullets, one to the side of the head and one to the shoulder, and she died a few hours later at St. John's Queens Hospital. Christine was a beautiful woman with long blonde hair. Now, after this terrible incident, police finally publicly acknowledged that this shooting was similar to earlier incidents and the crimes may be connected. And the police were actually leaning toward there being multiple suspects because the perpetrator was blonde-haired in the Lomino DeMasi case and was black-haired in the Loria Valenti case. On March 8th, 1977, at 7:30 p.m., a brown-haired 19-year-old Columbia University student named Virginia Voskerichian was walking home from school when she was confronted by a man carrying a gun. When the man took aim, Voskerichian tried to defend herself by holding her school books up in front of her face. The man pulled the trigger, and unfortunately the book did little to stop the bullet. Voskerichian died from a gunshot wound to the head. Running away from the crime scene, the gunman nearly collided with a pedestrian, who described the shooter as a short, husky boy, 16 to 18 years old, clean-shaven, wearing a sweater, and a watch cap, what today we would call a stocking hat. I think this description sounds the most like Berkowitz out of all the other descriptions we're going to hear about.
That young, huh? Maybe that's the clean-shaven.
That's what they said, yeah.
Maybe the clean-shaven, because if I shave my face completely, I look definitely 5 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Now, 2 days later, on March 10th, 1977, at 3 o'clock a.m., 20-year-old Alexander Esau and 18-year-old Valentia Suriani were sitting in Suriani's parked car near her home in the Bronx when each was shot twice. Suriani died at the scene, and Esau died hours later at the hospital. Suriani and Esau both had brown hair. Now, after this particular shooting, police made it widely known that the weapon used in the Suriani-Esau murders was the same weapon used in other seemingly random shootings, a .44 caliber Bulldog revolver. This fact earned the killer the nickname the .44 caliber killer in the press. Now, it's interesting. The Bulldog revolver was designed to be used by air marshals and was made to fire bullets that would kill a person without damaging an airplane's fuselage. In order to, isn't it crazy?
That's interesting.
Yeah, in order to do that, the person firing the gun had to be very close to the target. In other words, the gun was designed for close proximity killing.
So the idea for an air marshal in a situation where they need to use it is that if it shoots through a body up close, it won't be enough to penetrate the fuselage like a glass or whatever. Okay.
Thereby decompressing the
right. Because if you fuck up one of those windows, forget it.
You're done, right?
Dead, yeah.
So that was the original purpose of this gun. So this gun is designed to kill in close proximity. It's a murder weapon.
Mm-hmm. It's like a mob weapon, too.
Yeah.
Up close and personal.
Up close and personal.
Right.
Now, at the Suriani-Esau crime scene, a sprawling, sloppy, handwritten note was found, written in mostly capital letters with a few lowercase letters thrown in and a lot of misspellings. The letter was addressed to Mr. Borelli, a New York City police detective working on the shooting case. And the letter, in its entirety, read, quote, I am deeply hurt by your calling me a woman hater. I am not, but I am a monster. I am the son of Sam. I am a little brat. When Father Sam gets drunk, he gets mean. He beats his family. Sometimes he ties me up to the back of the house. Other times he locks me in the garage. Sam loves to drink blood. Go out and kill, commands Father Sam. Behind our house, some rest. Mostly young, raped and slaughtered, their blood drained. Just bones now. Papa Sam keeps me locked in the attic, too. I can't get out, but I could look out the attic window and watch the world go by. I feel like an outsider. I am on a different wavelength than everybody else, programmed to kill. However, to stop me, you must kill me. Attention all police. Shoot me first. Shoot to kill or else. Keep out of my way or you will die. Papa Sam is old now. He needs some blood to preserve his youth. He has had too many heart attacks. Too many heart attacks. Me hoot, it hurts, sonny boy. I miss my pretty princess most of all. She's resting in Our Lady's house, but I'll see her soon. I am the monster, Beelzebub, the chubby behemoth. I love to hunt, prowling the streets looking for fair game, tasty meat. The women of Queens are the prettiest of all. I must be the water they drink. I live for the hunt, my life. Blood for Papa. Mr. Borelli, sir, I don't want to kill anymore. No, sir, but I must. Honor thy father. I want to make love to the world. I love people. I don't belong on earth. Return me to Yahoos. To the people of Queens, I love you. And I want to wish you all a happy Easter. May God bless you in this life and in the next. And for now I say goodbye and good night. Police, let me haunt you with these words. I'll be back. I'll be back. To be interpreted as, bang, 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 bang. Ugh. Yours in murder, Mr. Monster. After this letter was released to the public, the nickname the .44 caliber killer was replaced with the Son of Sam.
Not Mr. Monster?
Not Mr. Monster. On May 30th, 1977, Daily News columnist Jimmy Breslin received a handwritten letter from someone claiming to be the .44 caliber killer. Breslin was kind of the voice of the people in New York, incredibly popular. Sending the letter to Breslin was the killer's chance to have his message heard citywide. In fact, it went worldwide. The letter was postmarked that same day and originated from Englewood, New Jersey. Now, on the outside of the envelope, written in 4 precisely centered lines, were the words, blood and family, darkness and death, absolute depravity, 44. And the letter inside, I love this. The letter inside the envelope read, quote, hello from the gutters of NYC, which are filled with dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood. Hello from the sewers of NYC, which swallow up these delicacies when they are washed away by the sweeper trucks. Hello from the cracks in the sidewalks of NYC, and from the ants that dwell in these cracks and feed in the dried blood of the dead that has settled into the cracks. JB, I'm just dropping you a line to let you know that I appreciate your interest in those recent and horrendous 44 killings. I also want to tell you that I read your column daily, and I find it quite informative. Tell me, Jim, what will you have for July 29th? Can you forget about me, if you like, because I don't care for publicity. However, you must not forget Donna Loria, and you cannot let the people forget her either. She was a very, very sweet girl, but Sam's a thirsty lad, and he won't let me stop killing until he gets his fill of blood. Mr. Breslin, sir, don't think that because you haven't heard from me in a while that I went to sleep. No, rather, I'm still here. Like a spirit roaming the night, thirsty, hungry, seldom stopping to rest, anxious to please Sam. I love my work. Now the void has been filled. Perhaps we shall meet face to face someday. Or perhaps I will be blown away by the cops with smoking 38s. Whatever. If I shall be fortunate enough to meet you, I will tell you all about Sam, if you like, and I will introduce you to him. His name is Sam the Terrible. Not knowing what the future holds, I shall say farewell, and I will see you at the next job. Or should I say, you will see my handiwork at the next job. Remember Miss Loria. Thank you. In their blood and from the gutter, Sam's creation, 44. Here are some names to help you along. Forward them to the inspector for use by NCIC. The Duke of Death, the Wicked King Wicker, the 22 Disciples of Hell, John Wheaties, rapist and suffocator of young girls. P.S. Please inform all the detectives working the slaying to remain. P.S. J.B. Please inform all the detectives working the case that I wish them the best of luck. Keep them digging, drive on, think positive, get off your butts, knock on coffins, etc. Upon my capture, I promised to buy all the guys working the case a new pair of shoes if I could get up the money. Son of Sam. End quote. And underneath the Son of Sam, his sign-off, was a sketched logo of a satanic-looking symbol. And I'll leave a link to this symbol in the episode show notes so you can see it.
Is it real?
Is it a
the
real
symbol, like based on?
Man, I could tell you, I searched high and low for meaning behind the symbol. Nothing.
I mean, it sounds like a ramblings of a crazy person. So.
Yeah, it's.
What about that guy that was a serial rapist that he mentioned in the list of names? Was that
John Wheaties?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get to John Wheaties.
Cool. Is that a show?
No.
Okay. No, we're not gonna get to him as a show, or we're gonna get to him here.
Oh, in this episode.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we're gonna get to. Oh, yeah, we're gonna get to John Wheaties.
Okay. That's what I'm asking. Okay.
And that logo, there's this old occultist from the late 1800s, early 1900s called Alpheus Levi.
With a name like that, he better be.
Yeah, it's thought that Berkowitz took, if it was Berkowitz who wrote these letters, it's thought that he took and sort of bastardized Alpheus Levi's famous logos. I forgot the name for it, but and kind of made it his own. But I'll leave a link so the listener. It's really hard to describe, but I'll leave a link for the listeners to see it in the show notes. Now, when compared to the first letter, this Son of Sam letter was eloquent and written with almost eloquent penmanship. Police believe that whoever wrote the letter must work for an art studio or be trained in printing or calligraphy or graphic design, or was perhaps a comic book letterer. In fact, DC Comics staff members were questioned as to whether or not they recognized the writing as belonging to someone on their staff. They didn't. Now, a week later, with sections omitted, this Breslin letter, was printed in the New York Daily News. And on that day, the Daily News sold the most papers in a single day to date, around 1.1 million copies.
That day is still the biggest
to date.
Well, I mean, obviously, it will never get higher from this point, but
yeah,
wow,
crazy. That
is crazy. I have another weird question. The Zodiac thing also sent letters to newspapers. And what time was that around? Do you know roughly?
I don't know.
It's roughly the same
head.
Time, though. It's roughly the same decade. I wonder who came first.
I think they were operating. If I'm not mistaken, listeners, don't hang me, but I think they were operating at the same time.
Yeah, I know that they span years. Yeah. I mean, I know that definitely Zodiac spans a few years, but I don't know if they coincide.
I think they do coincide.
Okay, that's interesting.
I really
two different coasts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm spinning a web, Oscar. I'm spinning a web.
Well,
Jason's web.
I mean, I don't know this web exactly, so listeners, this is all genuine things I'm thinking of at the moment. Not ruining anything here.
No.
But I'm clearly finding some webs in there.
Yes.
Something. Yeah, okay, cool.
Now, as if New Yorkers weren't on edge enough, after this letter was published, full-blown panic set in, and New York was scared.
Yes. This is one of those dog day afternoon days. For summer.
Summer of Sam. Yep. Watch that movie for what the Burrows went through during this time of. And they call it in the news. They call it the Summer of Sam.
Yeah, pretty good movie. Not about the killings. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, Berkowitz is kind of a backdrop to what's going on.
It's really about the effects he produces.
Yes,
right.
Yes. So New York was scared, and the media did nothing to calm New Yorkers' fears. Instead, they fueled it, and full-blown panic set in.
I wonder if the it leads mentality started here.
Lovers' lanes were deserted. Disco clubs saw an 80 to 90% drop in clientele. Couples on dates rushed to get home early. Neighborhood beauty shops couldn't keep up with the demand for wigs and blonde and red hair dye due to thousands of brunette women across the city trying to hide their brown hair.
You're kidding me.
And around this time, a Son of Sam task force, known as the Operation Omega, consisting of about 300 cops, was established along with the Son of Sam hotline. And thousands of tips poured in just a few months. Yeah.
How many crazy people do you know in the neighborhood? Much less. Oh, yeah, of course.
And all this going on during a record heat wave across New York at that
Which
time.
probably didn't help the mentality state of the killer and other people.
Absolutely.
Dude, summer, the worse the heat is, the more crime goes up, man.
Yes.
People go crazy.
Yes. It's even said that the New York Mafia took to the streets to try and find the killer.
Oh, wow.
And you know shit's fucked up when the Mafia says,
He's fucking business.
That's too much. You know what I mean? So even they got involved.
I want to see a movie with that perspective.
Oh, I know.
Oh, my God.
Well, they kind of touched on it in Summer of Sam.
I'm sure they did.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see it.
But I talk about if it bleeds, it leads. 'Cause that's I'm a journalism major, right?
Yeah.
That's what I have my degree in. That is an old journalism adage, and it's fucking true. But I'll get to that.
Really? So wow.
Oh, no. That's why I gave you the thumbs up when you said that.
Awesome.
So city, full-blown panic. Mafia on the streets. Then on June 26, 1977, around 3 a.m., 20-year-old Sal Lupo and 17-year-old Jody Placido were sitting in their parked car when, again, 3 bullets ripped through the vehicle.
Placebo effect. Sorry.
Lupo was wounded in the right forearm, and Placido was shot in the right temple, shoulder, and back of the neck.
Ouch.
Now, thankfully, both victims survived.
Wow.
Lupo told police that just moments before the shooting, he and Placido were actually discussing the Son of Sam shootings.
Well, yeah, that's a hot topic.
I mean, fuck.
It's literally what... Yeah.
Now, neither victim saw the shooter, but witnesses in the immediate area saw a tall, dark-haired man in a leisure suit fleeing from the area. And another witness described a blonde-haired man with a mustache driving from the scene in a Chevy Nova without the headlights on. All this is really important, these witness testimony for the web I'm spinning here.
Yeah.
Then, in the early morning on July 31st, 1977, very close to the 1-year anniversary of the first Son of Sam shooting, Stacy Moskowitz and Robert Violante, both 20 years old, were in Violante's car, which was parked near a city park and under a streetlight in the Bath Beach neighborhood of Brooklyn. The two were making out when a man approached and fired 4 rounds into the vehicle at point-blank range. Both victims were shot in the head. Moskowitz died several hours later at a hospital, and Violante survived but lost vision in one eye completely, and vision in the other eye was permanently damaged. I think he has like 10% vision in that other eye. So he got fucked up.
Yeah, he did. Also, he's really bad at killing people. I mean, good thing, but Jesus.
You're right. And actually, Berkowitz, from military training, had a good shot. He had a very good shot. He scored marksman quality marksman percentile when it came to shooting. This compounds the mystery.
It compounds the mystery, but also it doubles down what I said earlier. Not doubles down, but maybe the opposite of that, about not putting him in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
That's super
He
interesting.
didn't go to Vietnam. He went elsewhere.
If you're a good if you have a good tool, why not use it?
Right.
He must have displayed,
that's a great point.
Must have displayed certain symptoms enough to not use them.
Maybe because he did score high on his tests. You know, maybe high enough to where they're like, we don't want this guy to get killed. We could use him better elsewhere. I don't know.
Vietnam is the biggest war to this date.
This is a hammer used better elsewhere. I don't know.
I mean, it's the biggest war since. I mean, from that point here.
Yeah.
It's still the biggest one we've done. The worst one also. But still, I mean, that's my opinion. Wow. That it makes it confounds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
So this shooting, the Moskowitz-Violante shooting, the final Son of Sam shooting, produced the most witnesses, largely because Violante's car was parked under that streetlight.
Oh.
And just before the shooting, a man named Tommy Zano, and his girlfriend were sitting in a parked car a few spots ahead of Violante's. Zano was able to clearly see the shooter and described him as a white male, 5'7" tall to 5'9" tall, and thin, with shaggy hair that was dark blonde or brown, and said the shooter's hair looked like a wig. Another witness, who was sitting in a parked car with her boyfriend on the other side of the park, said she saw a white male wearing a cheap light-colored wig run from the park and get into a small light-colored car, which drove away quickly, and she was able to catch some of the car's license plate, 4-GUR or 4-GVR, she told authorities. Turned out the license plate for Berkowitz's car was 561-XLB, not even fucking close. So how'd she get it so wrong? Another female witness saw a light-colored car speed away from the park less than a minute after the shooting, and at least 2 witnesses saw a yellow Volkswagen Bug speeding out of the neighborhood with its lights off immediately after the shooting. And earlier in the night, before the shooting, a yellow Volkswagen was seen in the area with 2 men inside.
Punch by yellow.
Minutes after the shooting, a car of the same description, this Bug, was nearly involved in an accident with another motorist when it ran a red light, trying to get out of the area, apparently. The motorist got pissed, and in typical New York fashion, followed the yellow Volkswagen for several blocks and got a good look at the driver.
Wow.
A white male in his late 20s to early 30s with a narrow face, dark, long, stringy hair with several days' growth of dark whiskers on his face, wearing a blue jacket. Tall, thin, long hair, light-colored hair. None of these descriptions match Berkowitz. None of them.
Yeah.
He's a chubby fuck when you look at him. Just a chubby fuck with curly, black, tight curled hair, overweight. He's called chubby his whole life. This is not him.
Right. Also, it's... yeah. And also, it goes away from that... one of them described him as a kid, or like this 18, 19 chubby
Good point.
thing. It's too opposite. It's too opposite. Like, you can't even account for someone, even the license plate, let's say. Like, you can account for insane things when you're in heightened stress or adrenaline.
Agreed.
And, you will forget details. You will fuck up things that you know for sure are right. That can happen. But all of them, and like this.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in a strange twist of fate, Berkowitz made a fatal mistake on the night of the Moskowitz murder. Shortly before the murder, Berkowitz had his car, a yellow Ford Galaxy, a boat of a car, parked too close to a fire hydrant near the Moskowitz crime scene in Brooklyn, and the car was ticketed. You see, as elusive as Berkowitz was, he always used his own properly registered vehicle as the getaway car, the yellow Ford Galaxy. Now, minutes before the Moskowitz shooting, a woman named Cecilia Davis was walking her dog, Snowball, near her apartment when a young man, quote, who walked like a cat, end quote, approached her, looked her directly in the face, then passed her.
A dog person would say that.
Yeah, and 5 minutes later, shots rang out. Now, it took Miss Davis a few days, but she finally called the police and told them she's sure she saw the killer the night of the Moskowitz murder. She also told police, and this is the twist of fate, that she saw 2 cops ticketing an illegally parked car 1 block from the crime scene.
Wow, so it wasn't for her saying it also.
Yes.
Because, right.
Now, the police were able to track the tickets written in the area that night and found one belonging to a 24-year-old postal worker from Yonkers, New York, named David Berkowitz. Mm-hmm. And the cops found it really strange that a car from Yonkers, 25 miles away, was parked illegally so close to a crime scene.
Damn.
So the cops, with Yonkers police help, went to Berkowitz's address in Yonkers, 35 Pine Street, apartment 7E, and waited. A few days later, on August 10th, 1977, when Berkowitz left his apartment around 10 p.m., the cops grabbed him.
So he was in his apartment for 3 days?
Yeah, he was just chilling. He was hiding out.
Damn.
Now, while being arrested, Berkowitz turned to an arresting New York City police officer named Matthew Dowd, a cop who had been tirelessly working the Son of Sam case as head of the Omega Task Force. And Berkowitz said to him, quote, "Inspector, you finally got me. I guess this is the end of the trail. What took you so long?" End quote. In Berkowitz's yellow Ford Galaxy, cops found an automatic weapon, extra ammo, and some reports say there were maps of the murder scenes in the car as well.
But that's not in evidence?
Not in evidence. Berkowitz was carrying the gun he used in the Son of Sam shootings. The weapon was in his possession in a brown paper bag, the .44 caliber Bulldog. Also in the car, police found a handwritten note addressed to the Suffolk Police Department that said, quote, "Because Craig is Craig, so must the streets be filled with Craig, death, and huge drops of lead poured down on her head until she was dead. Yet the cats still come out at night to mate, and the sparrows still sing in the morning," end quote. About the automatic weapon in his car, Berkowitz admitted to police that he was planning on using the automatic weapon to shoot up a nightclub in the Hamptons, very rich part of New York, in hopes of killing as many people as possible while going out in a blaze of glory.
Wow.
So he was going out to hunt when they caught him.
So I think it was planning his end game, so to speak?
It certainly seems that way.
How fortuitous that they caught him that day.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there for a few
Fucking
days waiting
lucky.
for him to get out, but like, it doesn't feel too lucky. It feels like a movie. Like they caught him right before he did his massive thing. It feels like
It's
like a
kind
plot.
of a Hollywood thing, right?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know, a little too whatever, but yeah, that can work.
And a lot of people complain, well, there was this automatic weapon in his car in plain view. Why didn't cops see it sooner? You have to understand, at this time in New York, it was perfectly legal to have that weapon.
Right.
So no one thought anything about it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to squash that. So on May 8th, 1978, David Berkowitz was arraigned in Brooklyn for the Moskowitz Violante shootings, and prosecutors in the Bronx and Queens quickly wrote indictments against him for murders in their boroughs.
Mm-hmm.
The primary issue, though, for all indictments in any of the boroughs was whether or not Berkowitz was competent to stand trial. Was he insane or not? There were arguments on both sides. Some psychiatrists argued that Berkowitz suffered from paranoid psychosis to the degree that he was emotionally dead, that he was neither capable nor interested in assisting his own defense. Others argued that he was well aware of the murder charges brought against him, that he understood his acts were criminal, and that Berkowitz had the mental capacity to understand the legal process unfolding against him. Ultimately, Berkowitz was found competent to stand trial for his crimes. Against his lawyer's wishes, Berkowitz pled guilty to the charges brought against him, despite, according to Berkowitz, what the demons were telling him to do: plead not guilty. Judges from all three boroughs where Son of Sam shootings took place, the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn, levied judgments against Berkowitz. At one point, Bronx Judge Justice Tuscalis asked Berkowitz if he intended to cause serious harm to young women, to which Berkowitz calmly and chillingly replied, "Oh no, sir, I wanted to kill them." Now, throughout the trial, Berkowitz claimed his neighbor's dog, Harvey, a black Labrador retriever owned by a man named Sam Carr, was possessed by an ancient demon, and that the dog issued commands to kill. Berkowitz was unable to sleep due to Harvey's barking all night long, and in Berkowitz's twisted mind, the barks were issuing commands. And eventually, Berkowitz shot Harvey, but the dog recovered.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Exactly. And now the dog's owner, Sam Carr, was supposedly, again, according to Berkowitz, Sam Carr was possessed by a 6,000-year-old man, or more like demon, which would communicate kill commands through his dog. Now, this Sam Carr is supposedly the origins of the name Sam in Son of Sam.
Right.
At any rate, on June 12th, 1978, David Berkowitz, the Son of Sam, the man who reigned terror on New York and held the city in his grip for over a year, was sentenced to 6 life terms, approximately 365 years behind bars.
Well, you can do that.
1 life sentence for each of the 6 murders, plus additional terms for assault and attempted murder. Now today, David Berkowitz is 66 years old and housed at the Sean Gunk Correctional Facility, a maximum security prison in Wallkill, New York. Now, I'll leave a link in the show notes showing a then and now picture of Berkowitz, but to look at him now, he looks like the kind, bald old man who lets you cut in front of him in line at the grocery store, or maybe like a retired, overweight Little League baseball coach. And watching his interviews, knowing he's spent nearly 40 years in prison, Berkowitz seems to be completely institutionalized. He speaks almost nervously. He works in the prison library. He was almost killed when another prisoner, a criminal biker named William E. Hauser, cut his throat, which resulted in a near-fatal wound that required 60 stitches.
He's Brooks from Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah. And Berkowitz, he's a huge born-again Christian that really believes God has forgiven him for his crimes. And believe it or not, David Berkowitz is a prison minister with an official website, AriseandShine.org, run by his supporters, who claim that the Son of Sam is now the Son of Hope. And I'll tell you, I've spent a lot of time on his website. Too much time, in fact.
How does it feel?
And you know what? It's readable. Inspirational, even. Berkowitz addresses parents in articles about keeping their children on the good path. He's a big believer in a two-parent home, by the way. He addresses teenagers about the dangers of messing with the occult and of getting involved in gangs. Of course, on the website is a heartfelt apology to his victims and their families, written by Berkowitz.
I want to read that.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating. He keeps a blog that's regularly updated. You can keep up to date on what David Berkowitz is doing in prison. His thoughts, his emotions, his health.
No one ever talks about this angle.
There are transcripts of parole hearings on AriseandShine.org, which, by the way, Berkowitz denies each and every time. He doesn't want to be paroled, feels he doesn't deserve it. He's got nothing to offer to the public. And, of course, he does a lot of preaching on the site, which isn't my cup of tea, but still, the site wasn't what I expected it to be. It's almost uplifting. And I have to admit, Oscar, the Berkowitz today, I kind of like him.
Yeah.
Not forgiving his past crimes, but 40 years later,
This is a reversal of Gacy.
I kind of like what he's become.
Do you remember how we sympathized with Gacy as a child for his upbringing?
Yes.
You kind of like sympathize with Berkowitz that has seen the error of his ways,
Right.
right? And is being punished for the crimes.
And he's being punished, yeah.
Well,
He's
in
never-
the society that we're in, obviously a lot of people would say just fucking kill the guy, right?
Right.
But, I mean, that's clearly too simple. Look at what he's doing. I'm not just saying that what he's doing is, I mean, it's so subjectively good. I'm not here supporting any murderer out there. But he is doing not bad things.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Now, in interviews today, Berkowitz says that the man who did the shootings 40 years ago, it wasn't him. Instead, he insists it was a demon he was serving that did the killing, because at the time he was worshiping the devil, and he wanted to appease the devil with blood. Berkowitz also claims he was part of a cult, and this admission by Berkowitz will play into that much larger web I'm spinning for the show. And to piggyback on the cult claim, Berkowitz insists he only shot 3 of the victims. When pressed as to whether or not there were more people involved in the Son of Sam killings, Berkowitz is very, very elusive, saying there were other, quote, demons involved, end quote, but he takes full responsibility for all the Son of Sam killings. He also says, or more like hints, that maybe one day he could say more about who was really involved. But for now, unfortunately, all we could do is speculate. And just as a side note, if you're interested, his apartment in Yonkers, the building underwent an address change from 35 Pine Street, Yonkers, New York, to 42 Pine Street, to avoid publicity and try to put to rest the evil that lived there. Kind of like John Wayne Gacy's house we talked about in the last podcast episode.
Right.
And in Berkowitz's own words, talking about his Pine Street apartment building, he said, quote, that building had a strange spirit, end quote.
Is that where Ghostbusters was filmed?
Yeah. Now, about his actual apartment, apartment 7E, inside, it was fucked up. Shit was torn up, stuff everywhere. Almost looked like a madman went on a rampage and just tossed his belongings everywhere, which is probably not far from the truth. Berkowitz slept on a mattress on the floor when he wasn't being kept awake by Harvey, the dog's his incessant murderous barking.
Yeah.
A bare light bulb hung from the ceiling. He had all his windows blocked out, so sunlight couldn't get in, even though his apartment had a really impressive view of the Hudson River.
Really?
Now, inside the apartment, when police entered, they found satanic symbols scrawled all over the walls. And there was a hole in one of the walls. Berkowitz probably punched that hole in the wall himself. And written next to the hole, he had written, quote, "Hi, my name is Mr. Williams, and I live in this hole," end quote.
Mr. Williams.
And right underneath that, Berkowitz had wrote, quote, "I have several children who I am turning into killers. Wait until they grow up," end quote. What exactly does that mean?
Or if it's literal.
Well, here's something else that's interesting. When we talked about it, you got to understand, when the Son of Sam killings were happening, New York City was in full-blown panic mode. Throughout the 5 boroughs, thousands of people would flock to the streets at night to catch the killer. Vigilante justice they were looking for.
Yeah.
And the media was a huge player in fueling that fire that was New York during the time of the Son of Sam shootings.
Yeah, not the best time for New York.
Yeah. Newspaper, television, radio, all did their part to incite panic. And the old journalism adage, if it bleeds, it leads, was taken to heart that year. So, when Berkowitz was finally arrested, he was made to be sort of a rock star, incredibly popular, because of all the coverage.
Yeah.
And because of his popularity, or notoriety, and authorities fearing Berkowitz would start selling his story, the Son of Sam law was enacted to keep criminals from profiting from the publicity of their crimes by selling their stories to publishers. The Son of Sam law allowed the state to seize money earned from book deals, biographies, movies, paid interviews,
Yep.
and instead use that money to compensate victims and victims' families. But, you gotta love our fucking justice system, the law was criticized as unconstitutional, as it supposedly violates the free speech guarantee of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Now, in 1991, the publishing company Simon & Schuster sued New York authorities to prevent the enactment of the Son of Sam law with respect to a book they were about to publish called Wise Guy, a book about ex-mobster Henry Hill. Hey, I have his autograph.
Hey, I have his poster and his autograph.
The lawsuit went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and ultimately Simon & Schuster won, and the Son of Sam law was abolished. However, in 2001, New York drafted a new law, which basically says if any criminal receives $10,000 or more from almost any source, victims and victims' families must be notified immediately, and they would then have a certain amount of time to sue the perpetrator.
That's okay. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of a compromise.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Now, and today, with the internet, this new Son of Sam law also has been extended to the wildly popular murderabilia market. So people who sell Son of Sam letters or clothes he wore in prison,
And
that could still happen.
And the
could still-
doofuses who buy them, huh?
I don't know if it extends all the way down to the people who buy. But
I'm
the
just
people
messing
who
with-
sell,
I'm just
for
making
sure.
fun of you.
Oh, yeah, me.
Yeah. Just talk about you.
Because I said I wanted a Gacy painting in last episode.
Yep. And
Now-
that other letter. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Oh, from Ronnie DeFeo.
Yeah.
From Amityville. Now, this new Son of Sam law could also extend to perpetrators' families, friends, and neighbors that might want to sell their story about knowing the perpetrator. So, it was repealed, of course, pissed people off, but now it's back just with a different twist.
So there is a definitely after effect to this man's
Oh, sure.
shootings.
Sure. So, you ready to talk some theory?
Before I get into that real quick, I want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
on the bleeds the leads attitude. He was caught in late 70s, right? 77, you said? 78?
77.
77. 76 he started, 77 he ended, right? And what, are you double checking something?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it was 77, or was it 78?
Okay, doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter.
No,
but-
it does.
Okay.
I mentioned it. I just don't remember.
No, it's okay. I mean, it reminds me of this reporter, famous reporter from. Oh my God, I just had it here. I'm so sorry. From Sarasota, Florida.
78. June 12th, 1978.
I'm sure you've heard of her. Yeah, from Sarasota, WXLT TV in Florida.
That last one was it.
Okay.
May 8th, 1978.
Okay, I was just asking. It's 4 years removed from this. In 1974, this woman reporter, I don't know, this story really hit me. And I saw I didn't see a documentary. I saw a movie about, kind of a documentary about this woman who got hired as an actress to do a movie about her. And then there's a movie about her called Christine. Came out a few years back. That's really, really good, powerful. Huh. It's about this woman, this TV anchor reporter for like a local station in Florida, Sarasota. And she, depressed, I think she might be the first, I'm pretty sure she is, committed suicide on TV.
I remember this.
In front of the news reporting.
Oh yeah,
she just committed suicide. She wrote a letter and everything. Read a letter she pre-written in between whatever news segment she was in, and she committed suicide in front of everyone and shot herself in the head. And she did die, and it was because of the adage you were talking about, the journalism thing about if it bleeds, it leads. It was getting to her to the point where like she was seeing what's coming in the news world. She was seeing how things were going to be as a staple, and what is a staple today, in way more worse ways than she could have probably imagined.
Oh, absolutely. We have it 24 hours now.
All the time. And in different ways, too, just political turmoil and all this stuff, just to do it. And, I mean, it's not even news, really. And she killed herself because she just couldn't handle that. And that was in 74.
Damn.
And it just reminds me of that. That's all. Because it's a ramp up. It's gradual, but you can see the footprints of where it started.
That's interesting.
And she's just a footprint. She's not the first or anything, but she's a footprint.
Yeah.
That was right before this whole thing in New York.
Damn.
So anyway.
Yeah, the media. I don't want to say the media fucked up. They were doing their job, but
I mean, there
was like no filter.
There's a point.
There was no filter. I mean, gruesome crime scene photos and everything. Front page news.
Yeah, a lot of news places even today. Like in Mexico, for example, I've seen in the early aughts when I visited, when there's some violent crime thing on the newspapers would have the graphic images. Not everything, but they would show a few things.
More than we do now.
More than we do now, yes.
You don't really see that in
I remember being
Chicago
surprised.
Sun-Times. They kind of censor that stuff.
I remember that being a memory of mine because I was surprised of how much they showed, right? But they also had sexy centerfolds in the middle of it.
Hey.
So just so you know, they had good things too. And I never saw it as a bad thing. They're just showing the news. Didn't feel sensationalized when I read that particular news thing. Yeah. And I've seen other countries display their news stuff, either through movies, documentaries, or whatever. And they all do it differently. Some are more graphic, some are less graphic. And it's funny how cultures lean differently. And there are varying degrees of success. Like you'd be surprised. Like maybe France's graphic stuff will actually benefit them more than it does in this country. Maybe we're just too violent. We can't hack it. We react too harshly. Maybe we shouldn't have it here, and that's why it makes sense we censor that. Or in other places that, they censor more on the nudity stuff. Like they don't talk about that kind of thing. It's just what works better for their people. And not all of them are getting them right. A lot of them are getting them wrong. But some of them, it just works differently. Yeah. And it's just interesting to see that. That's all.
Well, we know what happens when you sensationalize stuff like this today. You get all these copycats and people wanting that fame and
this country has a big problem with that.
Slippery slope.
This country has a big problem with proving itself. Like we did it already. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like we have a big problem with that. As a mentality, it's a little nutty, and sad. But anyway, you were going to say more stuff.
No, it's good. No, I wanted to talk some theory.
Okay, let's do it.
So. There's a lot of people that were involved in the Son of Sam case that believe Berkowitz absolutely did not act alone, that he was just one of the shooters, or a lookout, or wheelman, or simply a reluctant patsy, someone forced to take the fall for the murders to stop investigations from widening. Plus, Berkowitz screwed up by parking his car too close to a fire hydrant, which brought everything crashing down. And there's quite a difference in the descriptions people gave of the shooter, and the police sketches of the shooter vary wildly.
Yeah.
And some composite sketches look strikingly like Sam Carr's sons, John and Michael, even down to the part in John Carr's hair. And we'll discuss John and Michael Carr here in a bit. But and I'll leave a link to the composite sketches and actual photos of these guys in the show notes, so you can see for yourself the resemblance.
And that
sketches
was a neighbor, right?
and Carr's sons. Yes.
Yes.
An across the street neighbor.
Right.
The owner of Harvey, the Labrador
dog, yeah.
that was issuing the kill commands.
By the way, Cujo come from this guy?
No.
Okay.
No. Then there's multiple car descriptions, namely the tiny Volkswagen Bug and the boat of a car Berkowitz drove, the yellow Ford Galaxy, and that vastly different license plate description I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And more than one strange man was seen around crime scenes before shootings took place. And there's the infamous Son of Sam letters, seemingly written by almost two different people. The Suriani Esau letter, written in incredibly sloppy penmanship with rampant spelling errors, and the Breslin letter, written in eloquent script with eloquent verbiage and no spelling errors.
Yeah.
Then there's Berkowitz's own admission that he was in a cult, and he gets really skittish when asked directly about other people's involvement in the shootings. Today, hinting that there's a lot more to reveal, he just can't talk about it right now.
I wonder why not.
Possibly because some of the shooters are still alive today, so he's fearful for his life and for his family that's still alive. As according to Berkowitz, part of becoming a member of this cult was to turn over the names and addresses of family members, just in case.
Oh, wow. You didn't say that earlier. That's interesting. So the family that's alive are his two adopted parents?
No, they're both gone now. But, when he was first jailed, they were, still family members alive. He's got a stepsister, for example, from the Berkowitz couple who adopted him, and other, distant family.
I mean, maybe it's just an unfortunate, strange side effect of him finding Jesus, is that strange, because I guess he wouldn't, if he's a different person, he wouldn't want people he loves or innocent people get murdered because of what he might say, right? But on the other hand, isn't testifying or saying anything would save future people?
I know. It's a catch-22, right?
Yes, okay. Anyway.
Well, so he had to actually turn over family members' names and addresses, just in case people in the cult fucked up. They knew, if I fuck up, they're going to kill my family.
So he can't be an orphan?
Yeah, right.
I got nobody.
And it is funny how, when Berkowitz gives interviews from jail, people he names as accomplices are the two brothers, Sam and Michael Carr, who both died shortly after Berkowitz was arrested. So they're not a threat to Berkowitz anymore. And those are the only two he'll name. And again, I'll get more into the brothers in a bit.
So he names the two people that are not available.
Right. They can't hurt him. And there are investigators who believe that .44 caliber Bulldog gun used in the Son of Sam shootings was actually passed around to different people for use in the shootings.
I was thinking of that when you were telling me the timeline.
Yeah. So let's explore the theory that Berkowitz didn't act alone, and that he was part of a larger organization, a very dangerous cult filled with murderers and with very long tentacles and very deep connections in the satanic underground. And this is going to play into something much larger, but as I've already said, that's for an upcoming show. For now, let's look at some of the possible clues Berkowitz, if it was Berkowitz, left in the cryptic letter sent to Jimmy Breslin, the Hello from the Gutters of NYC letter. Now, if you remember, in the Breslin letter, the writer made a few mentions of very ominous-sounding people: the Duke of Death, the Wicked King Wicker, the 22 Disciples of Hell, and John Wheaties, rapist and suffocator of young girls. I believe these are actual people, not the conjurings of a lunatic, that either helped Berkowitz carry out the Son of Sam murders, or at the very least were associates of Berkowitz's carrying out heinous crimes in other parts of the country, and Berkowitz just happened to be familiar with the individuals and privy to what they were doing. Furthermore, I believe Berkowitz and these other people all had the same goal: spilling blood for Satan or other demons while acting as part of a larger cult or murder club. So let's first take a look at the Duke of Death. That reference.
Car. It's a GTA car.
The Duke of Death, yeah, Grand Theft Auto. The reference to the Duke of Death. I think if the letter writer wasn't referring to Sam Carr, who Berkowitz himself referred to as Master, I think the writer could be referring to an occult superstar, a terribly dangerous man nicknamed Manson II, as in Charles Manson II, a man named William Menser. William Menser will come up in future episodes of the podcast as part of the web I'm spinning, but for now, let's just say this guy belonged to a team of satanic contract killers that operated coast to coast in the U.S. Killers who would wipe out rogue Satanists, witnesses, outside meddlers, or anyone the cultists deemed worthy of execution. Just bad fucking dude. Then there's the Wicked King Wicker reference. And I think this one's pretty straightforward, but still worth a mention. Berkowitz's apartment in Yonkers and Sam Carr's residence, which Berkowitz could clearly see from his 7th floor apartment, were both off Wicker Street in Yonkers. Sam Carr's residence off of Wicker and Warburton Avenue, and Berkowitz's apartment just behind Wicker Street. Wicker Street dead ends into Old Croton State Park, and directly beyond that is Pine Street, where Berkowitz's apartment was. So either Berkowitz is talking about himself being the Wicked King of Wicker Street, or, more likely, he's referencing Sam Carr. Remember, this is the guy who Berkowitz saw as the man possessed with a 6,000-year-old demon, and whose dog commanded Berkowitz to kill. Or it could be an indirect reference to Sam Carr's sons, John and Michael Carr. In this case, Sam Carr is the king of his sons, and in Berkowitz's fucked up mind, king of many, many others as well, including Berkowitz himself. And the Breslin letter made reference to the 22 disciples of hell. Apparently, according to author Maury Terry in his book The Ultimate Evil, an investigation into America's most dangerous satanic cult, there was a satanic cult operating out of Westchester, New York, that Berkowitz was a part of, that consisted of 22 members. The 22 disciples of hell. In fact,
Right.
in 1975 and 76, all around the Westchester and Yonkers area, women were being attacked by the Dart Man. The Dart Man.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone running around and shooting women in the head and neck, mainly in ground floor apartments, with steel darts with feathers on them. One woman almost died after being hit in a major artery. In all, 22 women were shot with steel darts, and the shooter was never caught. And coincidentally, the dart shootings tapered off and stopped right when the Son of Sam shooting started ramping up. Was Berkowitz the Dart Man? Or was the Dart Man a member of the Westchester cult, or multiple members of the Westchester cult? No one was ever brought to justice for the dart attacks.
It's almost like they get assignments.
Yes.
Right? They get assignments. They're like, here, Dark Man, right? That's your name? Yeah, I'm using Dark Man today. I'm like, all right, then. I imagine this is water cooler talk for them. And then you give them the assignment, like, okay, so you need to terrorize 20 women. 20, really? Oh, yeah, 20. And then what are you going to use? But these darts.
Fucking darts.
All right, then, And then the next person, like, okay, we got to ramp it up on the next one. All right, what are you good at? Shooting. Okay, it's so weird.
It's really funny because that you say that, because you're right on. Some of the investigators said this was a progression. If it was just Berkowitz, it was a progression for Berkowitz. He started with a knife. The knife was too messy, too loud. They got away.
Too loud?
Too screaming. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Then he went to the darts.
Yes.
Right? Something he could do from far away that's much quieter, much more quiet. Then ultimately, that wasn't enough. He went to the gun. Mm-hmm. If you believe Berkowitz is a single killer theory.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was somebody else, probably.
It could be. Or multiple somebody else's from this Westchester cult.
Right, yeah.
Now, there was another branch of this Westchester satanic cult in New York City. This is in New York City. This is happening in the boroughs, right?
Yes.
So we got Westchester, and then we got New York City. And this branch consisted of about 20 members. Now, there was another branch of the Westchester satanic cult in New York City, and a third branch consisting of about 20 members operating out of the towns of Minot and Bismarck, North Dakota. Now, this North Dakota connection does matter, as we'll see here in a bit. The cult also reaches into California, but that's for an entirely different episode.
Yeah, fuck.
And apparently this same cult, it's still here. It's still active today.
What's the name of it?
Nope, not releasing it yet.
Okay, thank you.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah, please tell me. I need to know.
Then we have, so that was the 22 Disciples of Hell. Then we have this terrifying reference to John Wheaties, rapist and suffocator of young girls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is crazy. This reference seems to be a barely masked nod to Sam Carr's son, John Carr, whose actual nickname was Wheaties, and actually had a sister named Wheat, believe it or not, W-H-E-A-T.
Wow.
But John Carr's nickname was Wheaties. Now, John Carr, it's fucking sketchy. He was in the Air Force, and while in the Air Force, John Carr was stationed at the Minot Air Force Base in Minot, North Dakota. After he was discharged from the Air Force, instead of going back to New York, he settled in North Dakota. And local authorities suspected him as being a schizophrenic drug dealer and a member of a satanic cult, both in Minot, North Dakota, and Yonkers, New York.
Right.
In fact, investigators in North Dakota claimed John Carr was the leader of the 20-person North Dakota cult I just mentioned when we talked about the 22 Disciples of Hell.
That's the one you can't name?
Yeah. Now, it is interesting to note that North Dakota at the time had rampant rumors of deep-rooted satanic activity. Anyway, at one point, John Carr went back to New York for a visit. And when he went back to Minot, where he lived in early 1977, Carr mentioned to friends on a number of occasions his friend Berkey back in New York.
Berkey.
A full 6 months before the Son of Sam shootings. So Berkowitz and Carr definitely knew each other. And with both men rumored to be involved in satanic cult, John Carr, the leader of one of the branches of the cult, isn't a stretch to assume it was the same satanic cult. In fact, it's said that authorities found a symbol scrawled on John Carr's phone book in North Dakota that matched exactly the symbol found at the bottom of the Son of Sam letters, that weird satanic-looking logo. And again, I'll leave a link to this logo in the show notes. So there's a connection there. Now, in an upcoming podcast episode, we're going to talk about a very satanic-style murder of a beautiful young woman from Linton, North Dakota, named Arliss Perry. Listeners, if you want to do any homework and get ready for one of these upcoming shows, look up Arliss Perry, Arliss Perry. Now, the Arliss Perry murder took place all the way in California on the Stanford University campus in the Stanford Memorial Chapel, of all places, and how this murder and John Carr and the entire cult possibly tie together. I don't want to give anything away yet, but again, we're talking about a cult with very long, slimy tentacles. And ultimately, John Carr was found dead in an apartment on the Minot Air Force Base, apparently of suicide in 1978, bullet to the head, shortly after Berkowitz was arrested in New York. John Carr's case was originally considered a suicide, but changed to possible murder, and today it's still unsolved. Mm-hmm. On John Carr's body, the numbers 666 were scratched into the dried blood on one of Carr's hands, and the letters NYSS were found written in blood on a wall near the body, likely referencing New York, Son of Sam. It's an interesting suicide. Now, we cannot mention John Carr without mentioning his brother, Michael Carr, a low-level official in the New York Church of Scientology at the time of the Son of Sam murders. And there is a tie, give away a little sneak peek here, there is a tie between Scientology and this, what I think is the apex of the cult. There's a tie there, but I'm not going to get into it now.
I mean, in many ways, for a lot of people, Scientology may as well be this whole thing anyway.
Well, so Michael Carr died in a mysterious car crash, a one-car car crash in New York, just shy of a year after his brother John, quote-unquote, committed suicide in North Dakota. And both brothers died dead not too long after Berkowitz was arrested in New York for the Son of Sam murders.
Yeah. Months later or years later?
About a year and a few months.
Pretty soon.
Yeah, it really is. To have two people, sons of Sam Carr, the Sam and Son of Sam, who supposedly were running in the same cult circles, one being a leader of a cult, and one fitting the police sketches of Son of Sam shooter, both being dead within a year and maybe a few months after Berkowitz was arrested. Fuck out of here. Now, it's interesting to note that that documentation exists showing that Michael Carr had a clinical aversion to alcohol. He didn't drink at all. Yet the cause of his single-car accident was drunk driving. Now, according to Berkowitz, in interviews, Michael Carr was also involved in the same cult he was. So he was a member of the Church of Scientology and the Westchester cult. In fact, Berkowitz claims that Michael Carr is the one who shot Sal Lupo and Judy Placido. Berkowitz's own admission. Other than that, it's really hard to find information on Michael Carr. But again, check the show notes for the police sketch of one of the shooters and how closely it resembles Michael Carr.
I don't have any records, like some sort of filing system. They must have for the satanic chapter over in Yonkers or New York in general, Westchester.
It's possible, but good luck finding it.
Well, they have to have something.
So much of this shit is under wraps and still being investigated, and it's nuts. I mean, so that's what I have on Son of Sam. Are you happy with that?
Oh, more than
good. Sorry if I slurred a few times. I'm really tired. I haven't been drinking that much.
You didn't slur, but now that you said that,
I called myself out again.
You did it.
I saw you take some notes when I really fucked up. Hopefully, you're going to edit out.
Yes, I took just a timestamp.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is just one big enigma. What really happened, and how far it really reached, and who was involved. And I think you're going to be really. It's going to be really surprising.
Don't do that to me.
When I tie all this together.
Don't pull a True Detective Season 3. Sorry.
What was the word you used for True Detective Season 3? You were...
Whelmed.
Whelmed. Not over, just whelmed.
Just whelmed.
Well, good. I'm glad you like it. I really enjoyed researching this one.
Yeah, it's really good. It's fascinating because it's funny how much the dog didn't come into play as much. It's like the dog was only there for the personal, head injuries that Berkowitz had or something. It's really just a small component. The neighbors are what mattered. Seemingly more the mixed up descriptions. It's wigs could be implied, right? They could be employed, of course.
But you can't change a body.
You cannot change a tall. You can't. It can't be that tall, that stocky, and that short all at once.
Exactly.
So that's a big one. The cars, the yellow thing fits because they're both yellow, but bug and a fucking no
in
way.
A boat. Yeah,
no
Ford
way.
Galaxy's a big car.
Not on my worst day without my glasses, I can't mistake those two fucking cars.
And the license plate gets me. I know people could just say weird things in time of stress, but they were
but at that point they're reaching.
Not even close.
It is a smaller point compared to the car and the description of the map, but it adds to it. It's a fuel to the conspiracy fire, right? Oh, yeah. It's
and people who investigate this are completely polarized. There's people who, without a doubt, investigators, police involved in the Omega Task Force and so forth, right. Yes, he had accomplices. No doubt about it. Then there's other people who say it's complete fucking bullshit.
But he took the rap
people
for
are
everything.
trying to, but he had to take the fall. He fucked up. He had to take the fall.
No,
he got caught,
yeah.
so he had to take the fall.
I get that. I get that mentality too for a system, law enforcement system, especially in a big place like New York, to get the case wrapped up.
Right. Clear the desk, they call it.
Clear the
desk.
Yeah. And that makes sense to me. But
I'm saying he had to take the fall by the cult. The cult instructed him, probably you die or you take the fall.
No, I think maybe...
And your family dies.
Maybe it's all implied in general. He goes out there, does his mayhem or gets other people to help him with it from the members of the same chapter. And they... do the wreaking havocing, and he gets caught. He maybe doesn't have to even be told because he knows that the addresses are there. He knows that mentioning them is not gonna they don't even have to threaten him.
Yeah, and then to only mention the two guys who are already dead, who have absolutely no threat to him.
How did he know?
I'm sure newspapers probably.
Were they? Were the Carr family in newspapers?
Oh no, they were.
They were?
Oh, they were front and center because Sam Carr, the father, was the central character in Berkowitz's story.
So was that
he
guy...
was the master. He was the 6,000-year-old demon man.
Right. So he must have been hounded by reporters?
Ad nauseum. And at one point, the Carrs told the press, I think it was $25,000 they would talk.
Yeah.
And according to the Carrs, that was to keep press off them. Like, press would never pay this amount, so let's throw something crazy out there to keep the press away because they'll never pay it. But other people think they were trying to cash in. So no, Carrs were front and center. Wheat Carr, Sam Carr. Not
So
Michael
when-
and John. Well, Michael a little bit because he was.
He was a public kind of official.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was an official within the Church of Scientology.
Yes.
but he seemed to be the more level-head guy of the two. Him and his brother.
He's the one who went to college.
So you'll see Michael talking in articles too, which is
Okay.
really interesting.
But not the other one, not John.
Not John.
Okay.
Never John.
And John's the one I want to know more of course.
Yeah, and I mean that's really it about John. Supposedly, according to the North Dakota police, he was
So the rest we can know about him, because the thing is that he's dead, so we will never know anything he's ever said because there's there's nothing about him.
No, not really.
No journalism, anything. No interviews. No
interviews.
No one.
None that I can find.
Not even officials on the police side interviewed him.
But the only thing is, there's speculative stories written about these tangle of connections that he was involved in.
Right, but the point
You
is,
know?
everything we would ever know about him is what other people say about him.
Yes,
Or
that's safe to say.
records, meaning like if he's ever been to a hospital, or if he is in that church, the satanic one, whatever they have on him there, paperwork-wise. That's all. It's paperwork.
Yeah,
That's all we
I
got
don't
on
know.
that guy.
Yeah,
Which is unfortunate.
he was a weird fucker. He was weird. And then supposedly he had connections to this Mentzner guy, this Manson 2, who that guy's going to come up a few times in upcoming shows.
Yeah, I've been waiting
He
for
was-
you to...
He was a nasty, nasty person. And he's still alive. He's in jail.
Are we sticking to this this decade, 70s, 80s?
I want to say yeah. I'm trying to forward think to episodes I haven't written yet. And I want to say yes, that it's pretty much 70s and 80s.
I'm trying to think. What's the long tail approach to this? Like, what's the and don't spoil anything, obviously. But I'm trying to think of what can we gain from this? What can we learn from this?
Well, I mean, this spider web has been mentioned loosely in books
In movies
and
too.
in articles. No, I don't know about movies,
Oh yeah,
but I don't know how to say without giving too much away.
I know. Okay,
How
yeah,
about
I
that?
don't want you to say
It's coming up with a way to.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to ask is that if, let's just say for the sake of it, this whole era of these people doing these heinous things for whatever reasons, a lot of them seem to be personal, but they're kind of fueled by other things, letting them do it too.
The fuel
Yeah,
is the Satanic Panic.
definitely.
This is right
How
when
much of
Satanic
it-
Panic hit the
That's why I
US.
really like the Spike Lee movie, because it focused on people's biasness over Adrian Brody's character in that movie.
Because he looked different.
He
acted
looked different. He had
yeah.
makeup on. He was a boy with makeup, things like that.
Yeah.
He had the hair, the metal rock hair. That's not the same. He wasn't a Satanist or anything, but like it's the same biasness, right? Where's the fuel? Is it our hatred for something we don't understand, or the other way around? They actually did fuel. The Satanists did push this to that, or both, right? And I'm curious if this is like just another. These 2 decades are just a chapter of some sort of attack, agenda, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to say
There's an
attack.
agenda for sure.
An agenda, and I'm like, what's the next one?
God forbid.
Has there been already one? You think of the
Oh,
pizza thing,
Terrorism.
No, I wouldn't go that. I mean, there's. I mean,
Sure, there's
you
an
mean like
agenda.
local terrorism? You mean like homeland?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
I think another agenda kicked off at 9/11. And
Yeah. Probably.
I'm not going to get political, but
Right.
there's always a fucking agenda, man.
Yeah.
There really is. And
What do
and
they say these days? Satanist.
What do they say these days?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just
I
curious.
mean, we've talked about them on past shows,
Yeah.
like with adrenochrome and the
Right.
deep state.
Yes.
These other level Satanists. They're still out there, man.
No, I know.
And this grand one that I'm working with here is still in operation today. It's under a different name, doing different things. But
Right.
you don't. That stuff doesn't go away when it's that tied in.
Yeah.
That just doesn't go away. It might change form. It could change a name, but that mindset does not disappear.
So you're saying that's what I guess what I'm trying to get at. You think or that the mindset of this potential kind of carnage is still there today?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, then my question does stand: what is next? And I don't think it is something as I don't think it's going to be anything clever. Maybe cleverly done.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there was 9/11, like I mentioned, or I mean, just look at what's the your Pizzagates, your Pedogate.
That's
your
what I'm talking about.
Child
that kind
sex
of thing.
rings.
Because you got to
your
have
Franklin cover-ups.
That's the thing you can't get anywhere else. That's the forbidden fruits of humanity, right?
Yeah.
So like that's what they have to offer. How do they pull it off with that?
I think we're starting to see the inklings of it now, and it's been around forever, but
Yeah.
it's just starting to come to light in a big way with 24-hour news coverage and social media and
Well, the invention of the camera alone, right?
right, exactly. So maybe that's the next thing. Is this thing is because it's real. It is fucking real,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Scary stuff.
But also, you ever wonder how it's frustrating how it's not. These are not things that are held as facts by the general public.
At all. Hardly at all.
Does
You're
it
right.
bother you?
Hardly at all. No, that the public doesn't. They don't believe it.
Yeah, but doesn't it bother you?
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
I mean, we're not like, we're almost to the point where we're saying like, hey, Bigfoot's over there, we should go over there. We're almost there, but we're not there, right? And we're trying to look at things clinically, analytically, as much as we can. We spot out theories, we make jokes. Yeah, it's all good and fun. Podcasting is a great medium because we can broadcast our own goddamn selves.
Say whatever the fuck we want.
Yep, exactly. And it's a great thing to do. It's a great. I'm loving this position. We're in the fringe, right?
Yeah. You mean by topics we cover, or
Yeah, and the things that we know to be true versus the things that we think might be true, right?
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff we can never prove. Some stuff we can't prove with work. Other stuff is proven, but no one's talking about it.
right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have big law. If you go after these people in this new thing, the child sex rings and all that horrible shit, because it does.
I'm more of a
exist.
child sex bracelet kind of guy myself.
Oof.
Sorry.
Big law just buries people in litigation, and everyone's afraid of being sued or becoming broke from trying to fight. And defamation of character and slander, and it's crazy. People can't come out and talk about it. They're terrified. Some will get maybe killed.
It's just that what's worse than getting killed? That seems like that was always a terrifying aspect from decades ago, right?
Definitely still.
Maybe more than decades, 100 years, right?
But I think people could equally be as scared of litigation too.
I know, yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's the new terrified, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it seems like both are the same thing, right? So it's just weird.
Yeah, like legal system terrorism on people.
Yeah.
It's
I've
so
always,
crazy.
I always felt like I'm the type of person. I mean, I don't know if I would do this because I've never been in this position. But if I was in the position to know something crucial that I can, shed light to, let's just say this Satanist group, right? Let's just say there's one particular chapter. I have something that I can say to the public that will shed lights on some heinous shit. Let's just say I can do that. I don't think anything on law or paper or litigation or whatever you want to call it will actually stop me from doing that.
I think it all depends the walk of life you're in. Like
Yeah.
me being a parent and married, and
That's true.
I worry about my family. But
That's
I fucking hate Corey Feldman. I think Corey Feldman is the biggest piece of shit on the earth because he's still a millionaire, multimillionaire.
Yeah.
He's got tons of money, tons of resources, tons of connections. And he'll go on article news shows and talk shows, and he'll say, "Yeah, I got the names, but I'm not going to release them because I'm scared." Fuck you. Every second you don't release the information on the people that attacked you and are still out there attacking kids today in Hollywood, you're just contributing. You're a piece of fucking shit, and you deserve to die.
Real quick, say who Corey Feldman is. Just
I'm
real
sorry?
quick. Mention, what is he?
Corey Feldman. Oh, famous. Oh my God.
I don't remember.
Corey Feldman, Dream a Little Dream.
Thank you, yeah.
The Hames in the 80s, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. He was in Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
He was one of the Monster Squad in Lost Boys. And I love Dream a Little Dream. I'll still watch it to this day, but I think he's the biggest piece of shit because he'll tell everyone, I know it, I got the names, but I'm not going to release anything because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you could buy a private residence in some faraway land and disappear forever and save the lives and psyches of countless kids, but you won't. Fuck you. You are just as complacent now, you fucker.
I see your point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's horrible. And Corey Haim, look what happened to him. He was driven to, I think he OD'd or he killed himself, one of the two, because he was passed around like a puppet when he was a child.
Yeah.
Right along with Corey Feldman. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, got me steamed right there.
I like it.
Biggest piece of shit.
You might set the fire sprinkler, so.
Yeah, right.
No, it's just interesting because it's like, where do you? I mean, that guy. I mean,
and we're getting off the rails here, but
yeah, I know. It's just so frustrating.
It really is. It really is.
It is so frustrating. You're right. I'm the opposite of him, but so much opposite that I have nothing of Corey Feldman.
Oh.
I don't have the resources nor the money to survive and escape or live off whatever the fuck. But I have so less of that I have nothing to lose.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a bomb. How do I not try to open that floodgate?
Right.
How do I not?
I know. I know.
It's too important.
And maybe people would say the same thing about me. Oh, I might not say anything because I have a family. Well, fuck you. You're a piece of shit now, you know?
Right. No,
I don't know. But this guy with the resources, the money, and the connections.
I would hella hesitate if I was in your situation, but I'm not in your situation.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be 100% honest with you. When I was doing this script for this show, when it came to Metzner, you know, and how tied in he was and how evil of a person he is, I actually, for a moment, thought to myself, do I talk about this guy? Because he is still alive. And who knows who listens to this show? We got listeners all over the world.
Yeah.
We do. So I actually gave pause. Like,
really?
Oh, yeah.
I can read the script for you if you want.
Yeah, I did. And the other one I gave pause on when we talked about, the Ripper Crew.
Oh, really?
Because Coco Reales was coming out of prison.
Oh, you don't care.
But you never know. You think about these things, you know?
I know
So
what you mean.
maybe I was overly harsh on Feldman. No,
well, that's why we use fake last names.
We do.
And fuck these people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just I'm not gonna.
No, I mean, obviously, I went through with it. But
obviously.
I had a pause. Do I actually do this? Do I say this guy's name because he's still alive?
Yeah.
And these mindsets, they don't go well. I just talked about Berkowitz being a born again, right? But who knows what really goes on in his mind? These things, these deep rooted psychoses, they don't go away. You know.
Yeah.
Those connections are still out there.
So do you think these Satanist people, going back to a little bit more Berkowitz stuff, do you think they seek out people that have come like this? Like, how do you...
Yes. And I'll tell you why. This main organization that I haven't revealed yet, their two founders talked about most of the people that come to them to join this cult are fucked up. They're homicidal, they're psychotic, they're crazy.
Oh, so it's not okay.
And they promote accepting yourself as you are. That's frightening.
And every extent
that they're taking in all these people who should be.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was asking. So
behind bars.
So the people come to them. They don't go to they don't go looking for these guys.
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of both.
A little bit of recruiting.
But the article I read, they've said most people who come to us.
Is it weird that I want to write a script for a satanic Satanist recruiter?
No, it's cool.
I don't know what I do with it, but I want to make one.
It's cool. I don't know, that shit, it's scary. That shit does. That topic, this topic that I'm spinning, it does scare me. Because the people we're talking about who are in control and the handlers, they're not your fucking strung out guy who listens to too much Ozzy Osbourne. These are people who hold prominent positions. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they might be politicians. That's fucking scary, man. They're the people... They're people with power and money and influence, and
yes,
it's a scary topic. It's a scary thing.
And also, like, it's like, can you imagine being like the new, let's just call it president, the new president of the Satanist group of a big place, and you're trying to change the way people perceive Satanists, and that you want to see Satanism and you want to explore Satanism for something the more positive, because there are positive Satanists out there, and their general doctrine is much more passive than you imagine.
Yes, it is.
And
we talked about this, I think, in the Adrenochrome episode.
Yes, we did.
And, the difference between
it ain't Necromonicon every fucking minute, you know. Right. It ain't that at all. Right. And they promote usually free will. A lot of other stuff is free will based, and it's really interesting stuff. I actually adhere to a lot of the stuff they say. However, how imagine being that new president and trying to explore that and trying to show the new ways and trying to promote that side of it more. And then all you get are these fucking psychos coming into your door.
Yeah. How
do you not adhere to what literally your audience is demanding of you? If these are the followers you're getting, I mean, how does that not perpetuate itself? How do you can't ever have a president or a leader or a church pastor? I don't know what the fuck they have. You can't have a leader that would promote anything wholesome, because the
All
people
his
that they bring
followers
in are fucking nuts.
are crazy.
Yeah. So
And that's what they said, that a lot of them are just off their rocker, and they support it.
right. I mean, you think
Be
of
who you are.
it's almost like the whole, not to get political again, the Trump thing. We got what we voted for, and in several ways, not in 100% ways. Obviously, not everyone did, but this is insane. Like it kind of says a lot about why he's there. Blame him all you want. We put him there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not can you blame the Satanists? Of course you can blame them, but I'm saying it's only as good as their followers.
Yeah,
Right, from the lowest to the highest.
it's true.
And it seems to me the more we talk about these murderers is that they seem to be on the lowest rung. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time. I think you mentioned one or two that are bigger cogs, right? And I think you will mention one or two more in the upcoming series of this thing you're doing that are bigger cogs in this machine of death, right?
Yeah.
But so far, they're kind of small cogs. Even like the smart ones, like the gregarious John Wayne Gacy, it seems like he just chose that. It's like, I'm not saying he was a Satanist. I'm just saying that it's like if had he given the choice, he probably would just stay where he is. He had a good run.
He did, yeah.
He probably wouldn't change it for anyone or for anything. But just funny to think about. I don't know. Interesting.
Very interesting,
Food
scary.
for thought.
All the above, man.
Yep.
So, anything else?
No, I think I'm okay. Anything for you?
What's our runtime?
This is a $1:14. No, I lied. $1:44.
So a little shorter than Gacy.
No, plus the intro.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You always forget that. And plus the music and the ad or whatever. Yeah.
Are there going to be outtakes after the show?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, listeners, listen for outtakes.
Yeah, I didn't have one for last time, did I?
Gacy had no outtakes.
No, it's the first one in a long time.
We got some people text me and stuff and said they really liked the bells. That the bells were actually creepier than the story.
Oh, really?
So that was kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It was pretty neat.
Yeah, we brainstormed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of last minute too.
Yeah, it was.
And it worked.
Almost everything we do is last minute here.
So I guess we started with Gacy,
Yes.
then we moved on to Berkowitz,
Yeah.
and then it's going to continue on. I'm going to try to release them all in order.
Mm-hmm.
If circumstances come up where we can't meet, or God forbid something happens, we do have something in the bank.
Oh, I thought we were gonna be like sprinkled in.
I really thought because we talked about that at that bonus episode.
We should do some
we haven't
Supernatural at
released
some
yet.
point.
But I started thinking I don't want listeners to lose too much track if we start, because 2 weeks go by.
Yeah.
With some new topic, they might forget previous factoids and information. And be like,
No,
what the fuck?
I think it's a responsibility of the listener to understand what we're saying. So, like, if we're like, it's a little bit on them too. Like, if we next week we do an aliens episode, which I think we should do a little supernatural here and there.
Okay.
Probably a little more. I don't know. Up to you. But let's say we do 2 shows in a row that are different from this, and then we come back for the next one, whatever it is. We can say it's there. This is the episode number 70, 80, whatever, and then listen to that first. Or listen to that after this if you want.
So go back to Gacy,
if you don't know what we're doing a series. This is part 3 of that series. Listen to those 2 episodes. Then it's their responsibility to listen to it if they're interested. If they're interested, they're going to listen to it.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll get the gist. And
Yeah.
plus, I know that you will recap them a little bit every time.
We're going to have, especially in that final episode,
Yes,
we're going to have to
exactly.
recap each killer we talk about.
Exactly.
But-
You know what should we do now?
We got some nasty ones coming up.
Oh wait, no. I'll say that off air. Never mind.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, well,
Call it quits. Yeah.
Oscar, take us home.
Gladly.
Dude, after I blew up the font so I could see
Yeah.
through my
Old ass fucking person.
30 pages.
30 pages? Isn't that more than Gacy?
They were both 15, but when I blew up the font, it went to 30.
Oh, you doubled the font literally.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that.
I installed cameras inside the house now.
Oh.
But I'm ultimately, when the weather breaks, I'm going to move them outside. But to set them up and test them, I put them in the house. And there's maybe a 3-second delay. When something happens in the camera, it takes about 3 seconds. So Nico, when I installed these cameras, he just couldn't understand how he could go in the front room where I have one of the cameras, act all crazy, and then run into the kitchen where I have the Echo Show.
Yeah.
Because you can say, Alexa, show front door.
Yeah.
And it'll pull up the feed. So he would do something crazy in front of the camera, and then he'd run into the kitchen and go to the Echo Show and see himself doing those things because there's that delay.
Yeah.
And he must have ran back and forth 50 times. Just couldn't get enough, and we were calling it the Nico's Ghost.
Yeah.
And he loved it. It was the cutest little thing.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
It's like the equivalent of a dog seeing himself on TV or something.
Yeah.
Like freaks out at the paradox of what's happening. Right?
Yeah. He was like his own little paradox there.
Yeah. That's cute.
And then Talia came down and she was doing it. Was pretty fun. So, I mean, that happened. That was kind of cute. You kind of treasure those moments.
No, it wasn't kind of. That's capital C cute.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, don't kind of.
He did it a few times this morning before school. He just...
Of course. That's going to be his new it's going to be his new routine.
Yeah. But it's that delay. He just can't get it. He doesn't understand.
Dude, what if you unwittingly just fucked up his kid? Like, what if you unwittingly, gave him, here's the lowest end, gave him an OCD where he has to do, a certain routine to get out of the house when he gets old enough because he just can't beat this out of his head. He has to act crazy in his front room.
I'm sure
before leaving to work and shit.
I am positive I've instilled some level of psychosis into
because you have your own
child.
You have your own.
Yes.
So.
Like crumbs.
Right.
Forget it.
Forget it.
Those kids are picking up crumbs on the ground just like Dad.
Right. Yeah.
Katie's just fuck it all. I'll crumb all over the place. But
right.
me and the kids are we'll lick our fingers and then touch the ground to pick up crumbs.
Nice.
We got problems.
That's a way to get sick too.
So psychosis like these, I probably instilled.
I'm saying
in my children.
you probably just gave them a monk level OCD trait thing.
Yes.
Thanks,
Dad.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about Momo.
What is that?
The Momo Challenge.
I don't know what that is.
So the Momo Challenge is this new viral thing that's going all over social media.
Okay.
Every social media has warnings to parents about the Momo Challenge. What the Momo Challenge is, it is a game that pops up during the middle of YouTube kids videos, innocent kids games that you could download, from the app stores, and for the first, 10 minutes or whatever, the game plays fine or the video plays. Remember, we talked about stuff like this in Elsagate.
Thank you.
Remember?
You also, last time I went to your house, I think you mentioned this.
Did I might have.
Yeah.
But now, it's becoming even more rampant that kids. So what happens is this, and you could look up Momo online. It's a horrifying image. It's like this woman with these huge, bulging fucking eyes, black hair, and she's got this bird-like smile just from ear to ear. It's the creepiest thing. And what it is, it's a picture of a statue some Japanese guy made, horror designer, and now it's Momo. It wasn't the original intent, but now that's what it is. Kind of like Slender Man. It's kind of life of its own.
Poor guy. The probably guy who just did it for a college paper.
Exactly.
And just got out of his hands oh man, my work is being fucked up out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what they say is the game or the video will play fine, letting the parents think okay, this is safe. And then during the middle of that game, Momo will pop up. And
for a second or for a minute?
No, then another game starts.
Oh, okay.
The real game, the Momo it's called the Momo Challenge. So what Momo tells them to do is challenges. First it'll be little innocuous things.
What?
Do something stupid to your sister, or just do something dumb, and then it progresses.
Like in real life, not in the game.
Yes, in real life.
Not like Sims, like your Sims sister. No,
real life.
You're talking about okay.
And then it progresses. Find your parents' pills and take the pills, and ultimately it leads to suicide, right?
Yeah.
And there's news reports out there of kids in other countries hanging themselves because Momo told them to do, and what Momo says is that if you don't do it, I'm going to come to your bedroom at night and kill you. Don't tell your parents because then I'll kill your parents. All this horrible, horrible shit. So kids do it and they die to save their family.
And people have, I don't want to say document, maybe that's not the right word, but I can see videos of this.
No.
Why not?
Doesn't exist.
What do you mean it doesn't exist?
I don't think it's real.
Okay.
So I started doing research on it because my kids are on YouTube. My kids download games on
They
their little
never seen anything
tablets.
like this?
Never.
Okay.
They've heard of it. Talia heard of it. Nico didn't hear of it.
In school?
In school, yeah. So I was doing a lot of research on it, and there's no video proof of any of this.
It is ripe for that's a good horror movie like premise.
It really fucking is. Well, it's like the blue whale from last year. Remember the blue whale challenge? Same thing.
No, man.
The same fucking thing.
I don't go online.
You know, only this has this was a blue whale. The logo was a big blue whale. This is a horrifying. I'll show you. Horrifying image of a woman. So I've had to talk with both Talia and Nico that look at this shit isn't real.
You know, I have a theory about that because I've heard other stories like this, like the blue whale, but other things and movies also. You know, like you think of the movie Compliance. Remember that movie?
It sounds familiar.
It's about the guy who impersonated a cop over the phone, called like a burger joint.
Yes, and made them strip and rape each other or whatever the fuck.
Right. And that guy got off on that.
So that's Momo.
Oh.
She's horrifying.
That's horrifying.
I mean, she is kids get it in their mind that this thing is going to sneak into the room at night if they don't do it.
How horrifying is going to sneak into my room
No,
at night?
it's terrifying.
That's horrifying. I kind of want it as my screensaver. Is that weird?
It's kind of weird.
Okay.
But right, and they were getting off on it. So
wait, okay, so I think that's the farthest you can go. That's the most attached a sexual predator of that kind can get in order to victimize people.
Yeah.
You think of a person who would, I mean, there's no reason to do it other than to torment and kill kids.
Right.
But here's the thing is that, wow, there are people that do want to do those things. I think that it's so detached, you can never see your evidence. Like, there's no way it's too detached for someone to create willingly and then hack into whatever, do all that work just to never see it happen.
That's a good point.
So I don't think that's just based on that. I don't think it's real.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this. I don't think it's real.
But that's fucking scary as shit, though.
Yeah. Oh no, that face. Ugh. Oh. Well, I was just researching this last night.
Maybe a bobblehead. Huh? It's the bobblehead.
Oh, give it time. I'm sure.
I want one.
I'm sure. But I was even freaking myself out because the house was dark. Everyone was asleep.
Of course, it's freaking me out. We're in a lighted room and shit.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to the kids on the way to school today about this. And hey, don't listen to it if your friends talk about it.
Right.
They're stupid.
Have they seen the picture of it?
I don't think so.
That's probably yes.
Or maybe Talia had. I think she said she did look it up.
Yeah.
And saw the picture. I think.
So someone just found this picture and they associate.
And they created a legend around it.
Right, okay.
Just like Slender Man.
Right,
it's the same fucking thing.
I heard the Slender Man movie sucked.
It was garbage.
Yeah.
You watched it the other night.
Oh, wow.
Because, again, there was nothing on Netflix. We're like, let's check out Slender Man.
Okay, you never asked me for more suggestions. I gave you a long list of stuff to watch.
I know. Oh, I'm going to check out this Kingdom now on Netflix.
You should. Everyone check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. We talked about the Momo. But other than that, not too much going on. How about you?
Nothing.
Since 2 weeks ago, nothing.
No. I mean, nothing of note. Nothing I can think of right now. I did want to show you something, though. Ooh. But before I get too far ahead, have you seen the VHS series, the movies?
Yes.
All of them?
I believe so.
Do you remember in the second one? I'm sorry, I don't remember all the details to remind you specifically, but there's this one story in VHS. Guys, if you're listening, VHS 2 is a compilation of horror movie series. Short films that are directed by different people. Anyway, one of them is that girl that brings her friends out to this like beach, secluded beach in a forest area, and she's filming it, or one of them is filming it, obviously, and they start dying off by this weird creature that gets like staticky with the camera, and you can't never see his face. That's the best version of Slender Man I've ever seen. That's as close to Slender Man as we can get, right? That's like a good one.
You think?
It's not Slender Man. They don't say that.
Yeah, it's not.
She's just trying to avenge her friend. She thinks it's like a real live flesh and blood murder. But it's not. It's like this creature thing that kills indiscriminately anyone who comes into the forest.
That's right.
And then she gets killed by this weird creature that can't get photographed. And it like phases in and out, and it has like a weird black shape to it.
That's right.
I think that's as close as a Slender Man we can get.
Interesting.
I was thinking of that.
We should cover Slender Man one day.
Why?
Well, it's a fun story.
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea to cover like Momo, the Whale, Slender Man, maybe a few others in one show.
Ooh.
That would be a good idea, that compilation thing. Just cover it as a whole. That would be cool, because I don't think we can stretch an entire episode.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Let's focus on that maybe.
Cool.
But here, this is remember I told you the puzzle box I was going to give to Lexi?
Yes.
You're going to enjoy this.
Holy shit. That's like the, from Da Vinci Code.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
The rose...
I forget the name of it.
Yeah. Oh, that is cool. Fibonacci. Isn't that the Fibonacci code?
Nope. Anyway, See, I can remove it and put something in there. This is the box
That's crazy.
that I'm going to give her. I don't wanna show you
Dude,
that.
you're so evil.
Just wanna
Evil
show
in
you that.
love. I love it.
Only you would get it because I know you've read the Da Vinci stuff.
Yes. That's really cool. That's like an art piece, too. Pretty neat.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it'd be good to keep
And
it
for
around.
only $50, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, right. I thought it would be more, but, it's good. Anyway, you ready?
good.
You warmed up?
I am warmed up.
I'm going to edit this out. I just thought of a great title for that last episode for the John Wayne Gacy. Killer Clowns from Outer Norwich. Sorry.
Shit. Could you imagine?
Fuck. What I think of
Killer
it
Clowns
now?
from outer Norwich. Because it is outside of Norwich.
Or whatever it is.
It
yeah.
works.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.